We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of We Say Things.
Hello.
You're not supposed to talk yet. I haven't introduced you. This is Ephey.
Hello.
There you go. Very good. This is recorded a little bit before our normal times because traveling and whatnot. And obviously, we want to take advantage of being in person here. This episode is sponsored by Manscaped, which Ephey herself actually doesn't know what that company is.
I don't know what that company is. Will you please let me know?
Sure. Let me read their little blurb that they sent us. Fellas, have you started spring cleaning yet? The carpets need cleaning, the drapes need dusting, and your lawn needs mowing. Spring has sprung, and the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming have the best tools for cleaning aisle 5 in your pants. Time to clear out your winter bush and join the other 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, and for 20% off and free shipping, put in the tag We Say Things. Cinderin loves shaving his balls, isn't that correct?
Yes.
They have many products.
And so does Ephey.
Nope, don't think so, but we can get into that later, I suppose. But as always, thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring our podcast. If you guys click the link in the description, it helps us out. We appreciate it. Okay, and with that...
Would you recommend Manscaped to a friend?
Yeah?
Good. There you go.
Great job.
I mean, you guys sold it really nicely. I feel like all guys need to groom themselves down there, and this seems like a great company.
They're doing God's work, in other words.
Yes.
Especially in the gamer world where people are discussing. As you can see, your backdrop. This is my room. Let me just put... There we go. Back here. That's all the Coke bought. It was actually on the desk, but Ephey and Cinderin thought it would be cool to have it as a backdrop, so... Just showing my degeneracy.
And I'm showing my creative side, because you had the perfect amount to make it 4 by 4, 3, 2, 1 tower.
I like that you... They can't see it, but there's a monster bottle on top.
Yeah, that was because he had a 10th Coke, but that wasn't finished yet. He was still drinking that.
Yeah, it completes the triangle, so...
I'll fix it. Is it empty?
No, not yet.
There's a good touch. There, it's a nice touch.
Okay,
That's
so
all.
what's going to happen now is I'm going to replace that bottle, and if the whole tower falls over, it's your fault. Because
Can you bring me a
No,
new
I said it was
Coke
a
Zero?
creative touch, Cinderin.
What do you want, Shannon?
The
my
Coke
God.
Zero that's in the fridge. We really appreciate it. I mean, this is...
Do you see how he's conforming to societal expectations by removing the one thing that stands out
Yeah.
and just making it like everything
I
else?
agree. The monster is unique, and he should have kept it. But as long as he's getting me a Coke
Shannon, that
Zero...
food you have in the fridge, how long have you left it?
It's been a week. I will
Okay.
not eat it. Don't worry.
No, you should
Thank
probably
you.
toss that.
You shouldn't eat it.
Okay.
I don't know
so,
if I picked up what I just said. You just say, it's been a week.
It's been a week. All right,
Alright.
so we're not started yet, by the way. I don't know if you've seen an episode yet, but we're going to read our In Bruges tier, our beautiful patrons that help us continue this show. And you're going to sit here and listen to the names.
How about she reads them?
Okay, if she wants
Do you want
Will
to?
I mispronounce them?
No.
It's
Do you want to read
right
them out?
there.
They're right there.
Okay.
Thank you, too.
Oscar Seeker?
That's
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Thank
keeps-
you,
I
Oscar.
mean, we don't know.
Purchasing the In Bruges tier and hope this podcast lasts forever.
That's so wholesome.
Sorry for not changing my name sooner. I know you postponed the episode because of this fact, just like Artifact should have been. Vovalicious. Big balls energy helped me reach Archon in Dota. Round 3? My name is not Corbin Dallas. My name is John McClane. No, but seriously, Dota can have way more active players than it currently does, and it's a shame that Valve doesn't do it justice.
That's right. You're doing great.
Disco Farm D. Vincent Darksea. I don't know what I'm doing. Hakuna Matata.
You
That
can
was
stop
me.
at you can stop at any point.
Hakuna Matata lives in Chandler Gilbert. Just saying. Commander Donut. Takar's still an asshole. Milan, Miami.
Nice, you read that wrong. Correctly. Shannon always gets those.
The
wrong.
Mega Pope. Suns eliminate Lakers. Are you okay? Tin and
TI in New Zealand.
TIO. I see. TI in New
Shannon also
Zealand.
read that as tins the first time. So
Yeah. I mean, it says tins. What can I say?
It really does say tins.
really went all
But
the way to
listen,
try to make it read as
it's-
TI. in
It's small and the text is far away, so I'm trying over
Yeah,
here.
it is.
You're doing great.
Okay, I forgot where. Zan Xavier. Nate Thicko01 Ham Scroats. Bacon! Shark! Uniquely marinated Capricorn testes. Dop. Nothing to see here. Underscore. Guitar strings. Recommends to watch everything, everywhere, all at once. Eves Remort. Get sub on the podcast to understand.
Mm.
Ben Broomhead fucking hates when he swaps his neutral item and it sends the wrong one back. Sunstan is valid.
They fixed it. They fixed it.
You're very valid.
This is old news now.
Pitch black. Wooden aftertaste. Anonymous. Peter. Half of all animal species are insects, and 40% of those are beetles. Niebling.
Wow, very
There you
good.
go.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, Ephey. We'll see you next time. Thank you to our in-Bruce cheer. Thank you to Ephey for being peer
Yay.
pressured by Cinder.
There was no peer pressure. I said, would you like to?
Question?
You had the choice.
Yeah, so what's the
Just said
question?
no.
Nate Thick. Oh, one.
Ham
Hamster.
Scroats, yeah.
What is that?
It's just his name.
Okay.
I've played Dota with him. He's a very good punch, and he's got huge throats. So,
Cool.
okay, let's get started
Yes.
with the episode. So, in every guest episode, I start with a rapid fire initiation. I name two things. You pick one. You don't think.
Okay.
Okay? Don't be Cinder and be like, You pick one of the two.
Okay.
Is that a good impression?
Am I meant to look at the screen
No, no,
or
no.
you?
It doesn't
Or
matter.
Sundering?
You look at whatever you feel like.
Whatever
If
you
you want to
want.
look at the list of names and randomly read them out during the episode at some point, you just
Bacon! Shark trademark.
you
All right.
just do that.
Did I do shark trademark? I
You
actually
did.
think
You just
I
said shark.
You just said shark, though. Okay. LGD or Nigma?
LGD.
Harry Potter or Lord of
Harry
the
Potter.
Rings? Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Okay. You got half right. Good job.
She got the important one, right?
Yeah, cake is the most
Yeah.
important one.
That's the one he
Half
does. He
right.
does every time.
Listen, Harry Potter
No, I agree with Harry Potter.
wasn't okay. I
Yeah.
thought you were about to insult Harry Potter.
Well, I would pick Nigma, even though we can get to that later. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we have the window open because it's hot as balls in my room, so apologies.
Shout out to Manscaped.
Shout out to Manscaped if you need to groom them. They have really good products to
They
groom,
do. It keeps you nice and cool down below.
to groom your pubic hair.
All right. So,
Uh.
as with every episode that we have a guest, we talk about your life, which when we invited you on the podcast, you're like, man, I'm so uninteresting.
I'm really not interested.
We'll see about that. So, talk to me or talk to us about your early life, like before gaming, let's say. Like, where did you grow up? Did you go to school? What did you study?
My
Things
early
like that.
life.
Yes.
Well, it was very dark.
Oh,
In the womb.
And wet.
Yeah.
And then
Understandable.
suddenly light. Noises.
Keep going.
Movement.
Hmm. Don't mind me.
she was like, this is not going to be a very long episode because of what Mike's saying. You're literally starting with your birth. This is going to take forever.
You know, I told her this episode with
Get to the point.
if Cinderin saying that, that's a good.
Well, never mind then. I was born in Amman, Jordan, on May 15th, 1995. I don't know when I was born, like which time, but I was born.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's speed this up. No, that's fine.
Okay.
Keep going.
Anyway, born in Jordan. Was in America for a couple of years when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Went back to Jordan. Finished high school. Went to college in America. Came back.
Okay, well, you're skipping over some
Oh,
details.
you thought to make it fast.
Well, but the interesting stuff you shouldn't skip over. Like, where in America did you
What if
visit?
she thought the interesting stuff was being born?
That is absolutely the most interesting thing because there are a lot of
A bit of
philosophical
conflict here.
questions
All right,
to be
continue.
had when we.
Where in America? I'm just gonna anything Cinderin says is like in and out. We're not gonna focus.
Okay. So I was in New Jersey for a couple of years when I was younger, and I was in Texas for college, and it was cool.
Texas. Okay.
I was in Dallas for a year. I was in Austin for a year, and then I went back to Jordan.
So you went to elementary school in Jordan, and then
I
high
went
school in the
to-
U.S. and
so-
college in the U.S.
I went to no high school was in Jordan.
High school was in Jordan. The other two in the U.S.
I did a couple of years in America because my
Okay.
dad had to go there for a few years, so
Mhm.
that's why I speak English so well. And then went back to Jordan and did my schooling there, and then did a couple of years of college in Jordan and a couple of years of college in America. Basically, that is
Okay.
the summation.
So you said Dallas. Did you visit Arlington?
No, I did not visit Arlington.
I was not okay. I am an idiot. I was gonna say
Mhm.
I sound like an idiot, but I am an idiot. I thought Arlington was only in Virginia because of like this famous cemetery. So until when this major's announced, I thought it was in Virginia. I'm like, what the fuck? Texas? Is that a typo? It's a 20-minute drive from Dallas. It's like literally in Dallas, essentially, which is strange. But
Yeah, how did you not
Is
know that?
Is that not a better thing, though?
no, it's fine.
Okay.
It just apparently it's common knowledge that Arlington is in Texas.
Until this
Yeah.
major was announced, I didn't know what Texas was.
That's true. That's because you're
that's
European.
actually not
I
true.
still don't know what Texas is, to be fair.
Good.
So, all right. So you grew up in both, you could say, America and Jordan. What are the big, to some degree, what are the biggest differences, things that you like or miss between both places when you're in the other one?
That's a good question. I wouldn't necessarily say that I grew up in Jordan. I mean, not Jordan, in America, because I wasn't really there for long enough. I was there for long enough to have an understanding that I was somewhere new, but then I went back to Jordan in third grade. And the one thing that really stood out to me when I went back to Jordan at that age was like how depressing the weather was and the scenery, because in America everything was nice and green and there were trees.
Not where I am.
And,
Yeah.
okay, not where he is, but there were trees and grass and things like that. And then I come back home and it's very dry and
The desert.
sandy and
I remember that being so the first time we went here, I think the first time you were in Sweden, we were doing DPC together, right?
Mhm.
And we went for a walk in the park, and you were just blown away
Yeah.
by how things looked. You were like, we don't have that at home. That's kind of interesting because like I just kind of take this kind of scenery for granted, right? Because I've always been in Scandinavia, but that's very different for you.
yeah, especially initially, because when we first came here and we went for that walk in the park, I think we were getting coffee,
Mhm.
and I was just really shocked, not only because the scenery was beautiful and there was a lake and people were jogging and stuff, but everything was so clean. And I'm not trying to like insult my country, but our streets are not clean, and people don't really. There's a lot of litter and there's a lot of like cigarette butts on the street, and
I know that
it's
not all
very
Middle
dirty.
Eastern countries are the same, but as you know, I've lived in the Middle East, visited many Middle Eastern countries. One thing I find very common from the places I've been is the hawking of loogies situation. A lot of people smoke cigarettes and they're hawking loogies
spitting.
constantly. Yes.
Spitting. Okay, I'm trying to understand.
Well,
what
not
you're
just
saying.
it's not just spit though. It's loogies. It's more pronounced than spitting, let's say.
What's the
It's a more
difference?
advanced feature of spitting. Let's go.
It's
the evolution.
It's colored spit.
Yes.
So mucus.
Yes. I found that
You know the
personally
medical term.
very disgusting. Like they would have prayer calls like 5 times a day, right? And we'd have to close or we'd have to leave all the shops or whatever. And a couple times I just vividly remember the guy that was doing prayer call was like horribly sick and just like coughing and spitting loogies. Like you can hear it for miles. I don't know why that really.
Sounds so disgusting. Actually. I bet you loved that.
I think
I mean,
that
It shaped you into the person you are
miss
today.
that's what I'm gonna say. I think these childhood memories really tie into who we become when we're adults.
It's true.
And I think a lot of your characteristics could be explained by
When I grow up, I want
remember
to do the
laughing
prayer
hysterically
calls.
when it happened, so it is true.
Tell when you were like, when I grow up, I want to do the prayer calls, and I'm gonna belch on the loudest megaphone I can find across the entire city. And here we are. Now you're doing it on broadcast instead, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, that's true.
I think you guys might have to edit that one out
Why?
because you can offend Muslims
By what?
by proclaiming your desires to belch on a prayer call.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an actual desire. It could be a fantasy.
I genuinely think you might have to. If you
I think we'll be fine.
I think
Okay.
it'll be fine. I think Shannon has no shame as well. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Well, you know, people are offended by many things.
so.
it's very
okay,
difficult to not offend anyone in any way.
That is true, and I
That's-
feel like if you have a little bit more leeway if you are of that culture as well, right? Like
No.
you don't think so?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll move on. Effie, move on to the next thing.
I think we
Next
should
thing.
edit Ephey out.
You probably should. I don't know I'm here in the first place.
All right,
Everybody
so you,
will agree with you.
you grew
Me.
up. You're a human being now.
Yes,
You're out of the
yes,
womb.
Yes, out of the womb.
Talk to me about early video games.
Early video games.
How did you get into video games?
Well, I remember the 2 years that I spent in the United States when I was
So the first two.
younger. Yes, the first two. We were kind of living in, it was a big family situation, so it was me and my siblings and my cousins and their parents and my other cousin. and my half brother. There were lots of people in one house. Yes, it was a small
Okay,
house.
can we do the math on that? How many people is that?
I don't know. It's a lot of people.
7?
Like
It
25?
was a lot of people in a single house. And my older cousin really liked gaming, and he had this computer where he would just chat all day in the early days. And I remember his name was like War God, so I just snuck on his computer, and I think he was playing checkers or something at that point. And then his friend messaged him and was like, "Hey, bro." So then I was trying to type. I was like 5 years old. I was like, "Hi, enter." And then when it hit send, I thought that was so cool, by the way. I was like, yeah, that's so cool. We're having a conversation. And then I played a couple of moves for him, and then he came back and he got really angry. So then he was just like, just go play on the PlayStation.
And then the guy he was playing against was like, wow, that's the best game you've ever played.
So wait,
And then he got really angry.
you said go back to your... So you had a PlayStation, but you wanted to play checkers.
It was
Is that
the early.
correct?
It was the early.
Had some really bad PlayStation games.
No. We had some good ones, but it was his PlayStation, and we
Okay.
didn't really have free access to it, right? It was his. But then he was just like, here, play it. And he had a game called Soul Edge.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
It does sound
Yes.
familiar.
And then I played that game all day, every day, 24/7. It was the best game ever. And my favorite character was Seong Mina. I can't pronounce it. She had this like giant staff. So then I would play it all day, and then I'd pick up my mom's broomstick and I would like try to do the moves. So then my mom was like, "Okay, no more of this game." And then I played like Crash Bandicoot and
Oh,
all of
classic.
those, all of
That's
those
a good
popular
game,
PlayStation,
Classic.
Spyro, all of those things.
Mm.
My mom said no more broomstick waving. So
Did you complete Spyro?
I did the
I think that
first
was
one.
that would have been a really difficult game if you were like 5 years old.
I mean, I was aging as this
Okay,
happened, but
okay.
This,
It's like
this
if
is not all
if you
in the-
completed Spyro as a 5-year-old, you're a prodigy.
No. The 5 years old was when it first started, right? But I mean, it's happened over the course of a couple
So
of
you
years.
played Spyro in high school.
No, I didn't, and I should. I should have.
You should play it
I
again,
should
yeah.
have. I should play Spyro now. You should play Spyro
Right now, I gotta go.
I'd have to Google what that even is. I'm being honest.
You're playing a little cute dragon.
Oh,
Maybe you've seen the game before.
another significant game in my life is Jack and Dexter. That game.
Oh, that's also a
That game
godlike game.
freaking slapped. That game was really good.
You play Ratchet
Console?
and Clank too.
Console,
PC?
PlayStation.
I don't know these.
I
games.
think no. Was it? There was one Jack and Dexter on the PS1, and then there was one on the PS2, or
Yeah,
was
I
it
think so.
only PS2?
I mean,
I
if you
can't
were,
remember.
you already said
That
what
was a
year you were
great
born,
game.
right? So if I say that, it's not gonna be offensive or anything, right? I feel like when you're playing games, I was already playing like StarCraft. I was past the console thing. I think.
How old are you?
I'm fucking old.
How old are you?
36.
That's not that old.
So like when I started like, gaming really heavily, it was like 98 probably. And that's like Quake, Half-Life.
Find it pretty
Brood
offensive
War.
that you ask a man his age. I think we might need to edit that one out.
All right.
I was just trying to protect you guys. I wasn't trying to like police you. I was trying to stop you from getting canceled. Jeez.
Well, we've talked about this already publicly, so that's why we're pretty comfortable with it.
Alright.
Shannon loves making jokes about stuff that he can relate to. So
Yes, that is
he-
true.
Absolutely.
So, okay. So, casual gaming, and then how does Dota enter the picture? At what age? How are you introduced,
Yeah.
etc.?
That's a funny story. Because, alright, in the 8th grade, I was obsessed with a game called Naruto Arena. That was a
Was that a
flash.
custom game in Warcraft 3?
That was the flash game. Nope.
Okay.
That was a flash game on the internet. You could type on the little browser naruto-arena.com.
Was it on
And-
Miniclip?
No, it was not, but I did play a lot
Was
of
it on
Minecraft.
Congregate?
No, I'm telling you, it was on naruto-arena.com.
Oh, it had its own homepage.
Yes,
Oh,
it
then it
was-
must have slapped.
It was a whole ordeal, okay? And it was a
Okay.
flash game, and it was the Naruto Battler, and you could assemble your team of unlockable characters, and you would play against other people, and then you would take turns and you'd cast all your moves on each other, and there was a whole leaderboard system, and there was a forum, and that was my shit. I spent a couple of years on that game. And then I was talking to a friend in high school, 9th grade. I was talking to him how much I loved Naruto Arena. And then I also started to play Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. I just played a lot of Naruto games, okay? Naruto is my shit. And then
Really into anime, it
yeah,
seems.
yes, no, Naruto was great.
Mm.
All anime is great. But Naruto in particular
Okay,
was
I'll take
very
your word for it.
excellent. Anyway, at some point he just goes, "What are these dog shit games you're playing?" The next day,
Yeah.
gives me a Warcraft 3 CD
Oh.
and tells me, "We can talk about games after you install Defense of the Ancients."
Ooh, so
Then she
it
installed
wasn't
it.
just work; it was Dota.
It was Dota that he wanted me to
Okay.
play.
How many times did you get kicked downloading the map?
And
I
did
don't
you have a
remember.
valid CD key, or was it ripped like
was ripped.
every other CD
It was
key?
ripped.
Yeah.
But it was ripped, so I couldn't even play on Battle.net.
Mm.
Oh, I see.
I couldn't. So I played on G Arena,
Yeah.
Jordan Room 1. Jordan Room 2 would be full sometimes, but not always. Jordan Room 1 was always full, so I had to
Oh.
spam click to enter the room. Do you guys remember
Oh yeah.
those days on G Arena? Yeah.
Well, I never used G Arena, but yeah, I remember lobby system was brutal. in
I
general.
remember G Arena. Tunnel me, please. It's great.
Sure.
Don't you
Then-
remember that?
I said I didn't
You've
play
never
G Arena.
played on G Arena.
Never.
Okay, so part of the appeal back then was that you could.
What was tunneling?
It was a way to get better ping to the host
Okay.
by getting some sort of direct connection
Yay.
instead of going through I don't know exactly the details, but it was used at the time. I think it was actually used for pro games even because it had better ping than playing on Battle.net. Battle.net has terrible ping.
Yeah.
I
Always,
remember
so.
I remember that the host could kick you from the lobby
Mhm.
in G Arena, so you could do this dash ping command, and if your ping was too high, you would get kicked. And I was playing on a Jordanian modem
Mm.
back in the day when we didn't have
56K?
great internet. So my ping was around 180, 190, sometimes it'd go to 200, and I would get kicked from a lot of lobbies.
You should have just written "Tunnel me, please, host," and then you would have had 175, and then they would have kicked you anyway. But then you had tried.
You know what? What can I do?
How many games did you
It
get to
was
play?
in the past.
Okay, how many games did you get kicked? How big a percentage?
Not in Jordan Room 1 and 2 because we
Okay.
all had bad ping, but when I tried to play in the Europe rooms, I would get kicked 8 out of 10 times.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
You must have been really determined. You're like, I am Naruto, I can do this.
Yeah, a little bit, but also
I know
we
Naruto
kind of
very well.
backtracked.
Apparently.
we kind of backtracked, but basically when my friend gave me the Warcraft CD, he told me that this is a real game and I've been playing fake games my whole life.
Oh,
So I was very determined to defeat him.
I see.
His name is Samir. If you're watching this,
Get fucked.
you don't even play Dota anymore. He doesn't actually, but
now he plays Spyro and Jack and Daxter.
no, now he's actually I think doing his PhD in mathematics.
Oh.
In mathematics.
Okay.
So maybe his life
So
is better than mine now.
Dota 1. Okay, how much
this sucks.
how much Dota 1 would you say you played then?
I played a lot of Dota. I mean, I would cut class and things like that in high school to go play Dota at the local cafes. But to backtrack a little bit, I was determined to defeat him. That he was my
Arch nemesis?
yes, not my arch nemesis, but I just really wanted to beat him. And of course, I had a brother my age. He was a year younger, but of course I introduced him to it as well, and he got super good at it. But because of us not being able to play in Europe rooms, we would go to Jordan rooms, and a lot of people in that Jordan room 1 became a close-knit community, and I still talk to them to this day. And amongst those people are people like Yapsora and Miracle.
That's cool.
Everyone played in Jordan Room 1 back then. But we also had this really big LAN cafe culture thing where people would go play. We called them counters, but I think they only called them counter because of Counter-Strike.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's why we called them counters. But we'd still go to the counters and we'd play Warcraft, we'd play Dota, we'd play CS. And I met a lot of friends there.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I didn't get to experience as much because in the U.S., these LAN centers were never very big.
Yeah,
Right?
same for me.
It looks
small.
really cool just from the outside perspective. I don't know how big it is in I know some countries it's still pretty big, but overall, worldwide, it's definitely not been as popular since back in the day to some degree.
It's mainly, correct me if I'm wrong, LAN centers are mainly a thing in the Middle Eastern countries and in Southeast Asia. And
SCA is big.
a big part of it is people's financials that they can't afford having a high-end computer and good internet. So you go there and play instead, right? And I think it's the same thing in Denmark because we used to have very few LAN centers, and I think the people that are 5 years older than me, maybe, or 10 years older, that was a cultural thing for some of them. But I came in just at the time when people would generally have their own PCs and internet at home. So I didn't really get to be a part of it either. And I kind of envy the people that did. I think it seems like a really cool way to hang out with your friends back then. We never really got to do that. We went to some LANs, but the whole culture there, I didn't get to be a part of.
And it is for sure. That's why a lot of the Jordanian players know each other is just because they all grew up playing this game. But I think part of the reason is not just not being able to afford a good computer. I think now the culture died out a little bit in Jordan, to be honest, because fiber internet became accessible everywhere, and computers good enough to run Dota became a lot cheaper over the years. Right. So now basically everybody plays from home, but back then, not everyone had a great computer, which is true, so they were there a lot. But also, I think a big part of it is just cultural differences in that in the Western world, particularly like teenagers and high schoolers. I'm not saying this didn't happen because it did happen often, but it was more accepted for them to like party and drink, and there were a lot of places to like hang out or places that like younger people could go to and have fun, like
And Jordan didn't
activity.
have that as much.
We didn't really have much of
Yes.
those things, and we didn't really have that culture where younger people partied and all of that. So what people did for fun at that age was go to their local network center and play games. And Guitar Hero was also huge.
Guitar Hero?
Yes, we had Guitar Hero
Great game.
centers. We had Guitar Hero centers like all over Jordan. People
Like literally a location that it's just for Guitar Hero.
they had like other games too, but mainly Guitar
The main
Hero is the main
focus.
appeal because you would have to
That's
sometimes call and reserve in advance because people wanted to play Guitar Hero with their friends. So it was really fun, and I think that's why Dota, for example, is just really popular in Jordan is because of the culture we had growing up. And also I think because society shifted a little bit in the last 10 years, it's become a lot more commonplace for people to like underage drink and date and all of these things, but that wasn't the case as frequently 10 years ago
So you're saying if people aren't drinking and being wild, they're playing Dota.
in Jordan.
Mm.
Yeah, but I mean that's why the LAN cafe culture is kind of dying out in Jordan. So that makes me a little bit sad
Yeah,
for
that is
people who
sad.
didn't get to experience it, but at the same time, I'm not worried for them at all because they all have computers in their house and they're all playing Fortnite and
I'm worried for them.
all these all these
Maybe they're
games
playing no
and
build.
stuff.
Then it's okay.
That's true. That is true. Okay, so Dota 1, and for how many years would you say you played Dota 1?
So I played Dota 1 for all of high school, so 3 years.
Okay, and then I'm trying to keep track of the years here. When did Dota 2 come out?
It came out, I can't remember,
2011.
but it wasn't accessible to the public when it first came out.
So TI1 was
Closed beta.
TI1
Okay.
was 2011 August.
Yeah.
And then you needed to get a beta key for I think the next about a year. So you needed to either win a contest or get a gift or something. And then I think it became publicly just open beta, I guess you would call that at the point, because they called it beta forever,
Was
right?
it really a year? That's pretty long.
Was it that long? Maybe not. Like maybe
I
I'm
mean, it
wrong.
wasn't hard to get one at a certain, but like the first few months were hard. But
Yeah. So probably early 2012 you would be.
like, is there a gap between Dota 1 and Dota 2 for you, or did you like
Yeah,
just
there's a gap.
okay? What happened in that gap then?
Well, I finished high school. And during high school, I played for 3 years, but like oftentimes I would stop because I had exams or, I was socializing or just other things like that. I switched to other games at some point too. I had a Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm phase. It still hasn't died out. But I did have like a phase where we were all trying to defeat each other, and I was really sick at Sasuke, by the way. So sick at Sasuke. I was.
That's my favorite sauce.
It sounds delicious. Yeah.
Sauce K.
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying because I'm just thinking about how much I fucking owned at Sasuke.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So high school ended and I wanted to focus on college
Mm.
because my parents were telling me to. So I stopped playing games, and actually I got accepted to medical school in Jordan.
Mm.
So I did that for a little bit.
So
And
what did you want to do with your life at that point?
I wanted to be a doctor at that point.
What kind of doctor?
I wasn't sure yet, but I think probably somewhere along the lines of psychiatry.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I thought it was very interesting, but towards the end of my first year, I got very depressed, and I think it had a lot to do with the amount of work and the amount of studying that I was doing, and how my identity kind of became shaped around school,
Mm.
and the time in my day was allocated to studying, and I didn't really have time to do the things that I really enjoyed, like watching anime and talking to my friends. Like I did have friends, but they were also studying too, so that just kind of became our bond, like other fellow medical students.
Would you say gaming was looked down upon from your, I guess, parents at all?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They thought it was a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
But that's why I dropped it.
Jokes on them.
And I know it's like, from my experience at least, like Middle Eastern families in general, there's a reason there's so many doctors. That's like the main thing that they push for as parents.
They do, and their best day of their life was when I got into medical school, and then the worst day of their life was when I dropped out.
Shortly after.
But yeah, just towards the end of my first year, I got very depressed, and then I just started to play Dota 2 again. Well, I hadn't played it initially in the first place. I was just playing Dota 1 because I didn't have the computer necessary at home to run Dota 2. So I would just still play Warcraft Dota. But after that, my mom had this like laptop that was good enough for Dota 2, and I caught my little brother playing it. He was the kiddo, and I was like, "Hey, I used to play this game a lot, the Warcraft Dota," and my other brother, Firo, he's the one who's a year younger. He had also dropped it for a while, and then we kind of just rediscovered Dota 2 through our youngest brother, and we went to a net cafe and we started to play it again. And then when we ran it on my mom's laptop whenever we could, we would like pass it around, kind of.
So for those who don't remember or don't recognize, what was it? Firo played a little bit of Pro Dota 2, right?
He did, yeah. He was on Bears, which was a team with Fada and Yapsor, before Yapsor joined Secret, and Forev, and I can't remember. But he played on that team for a while, and then the players got like poached, passed around, and then he was on Complexity with Kyle.
Oh, that's right. He was on call too.
Yeah, he was on, which is how I know Kyle.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, so he was on Complexity for a while, and then he was on Warriors Gaming Unity, and then he stopped playing Dota 2.
Entirely.
Yeah.
Forever?
Yeah, forever. I mean, now he plays TFT, so.
TFT?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he went back to the Frozen Throne.
No, the team fight tactics.
Oh, okay.
The League
I
of
can't tell if
Legends.
you're a kid. Okay, let's
Okay.
I was giving her the benefit of the
Yeah.
doubt. It would be nice.
Okay, so
Forgot I reached on my story. Oh, yes.
continue.
At the end of the day, I would kind of like counteract how sad I felt. I started to play Dota more and more and more. And then when I dropped out of medical school, my parents were very disappointed. They were like screaming. I was sad. I was crying often. So I would just like lock myself in my room with my mom's laptop and just play Dota all day. And then I ended up switching majors in the university in Jordan. And I just kind of didn't go to class because I was still like, it was like a weird environment in my house where my parents were very angry. So I just ended up locking myself in my room almost every day, or like pretending to go to class, but then coming home after my parents went to work, and then playing Dota 2 all day. So I played a lot of Dota 2.
Degen
in those years.
lifestyle.
Yes, but it was a comfort to me. Like, it was something that really helped me and made me feel
I mean,
better.
I think a lot of people watching probably have felt the same way about, if not Dota, then some other game, right? That's not unusual at all.
So then in the timeline, you said you were in college in Jordan and then
Yeah.
you were in college in the US. So this was
This
before
was
you
the
went to the
second,
US.
yeah, this was the second year.
Okay.
And
Which major did you switch to?
I switched to physics because
Okay.
I've always enjoyed physics, and I just didn't want to do something as study intensive as medicine.
I think physics is pretty intensive too, isn't it?
It's a different kind of intensive, because whereas medicine was about memorization and retention of information, physics
Oh,
was more
yeah.
about application of like
Got it.
laws and
Yeah.
knowledge. So if it made sense to you, then it was something that was just more so sitting and practicing.
So medicine was more like a grind, basically.
It wasn't a grind. It was, yeah, it was definitely a grind, but it was kind of like, as I was doing it, I had to ask myself, is this really worth it? Right? And I still don't know if I made the correct choice, by the way, but I was happy to switch to physics. This happened towards the end of the second year, after I was degenning Dota a lot and just kind of not really committing to university. And my parents were like, well, something has to change. And then I was like, maybe if I study abroad and have a change of environment, it'll be better. And it was nice. It was nice while I was there. But
And it was also physics in the US.
yeah, physics in the
Okay.
US, not in Jordan.
Yeah.
In the US, I studied physics, and I was having a good time, but I was balancing work and studies.
What kind
And
of
then,
work?
I was working as a waitress. Then that's when I started streaming.
This was
Dota.
in Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also streamed Dota.
Mm.
And then I also had my classes. So I was doing like a few things at the same time. And I don't want to get like too into details, but like some personal stuff happened with my family and a bunch of other things like towards the end of my second year in Texas, and I was basically told to come back, so I did.
So you have a half-finished degree in physics, or did you continue again when you came back?
No, I didn't continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what year
I
was
don't
that?
think I ever will.
So when you came back to Jordan after physics, was that when you were in the Dota universe, so you felt like you could live off that, or did that happen by chance after you came
Wait,
back
can you
home?
repeat that?
So after you came back from the US to
Mhm.
Jordan, were you already profiting off Dota enough that you felt like this is a career opportunity for me, or did that happen later?
Well, I mean, streaming was definitely sustainable
Okay.
enough in Jordan. Like, our minimum wage there, not so great.
Mhm.
And back when I was streaming to like 200, 300 people, I would make something like $600 a month, which was definitely good enough. If I had gone back to university, I would have lost an income source because there weren't really good part-time job options in Jordan. It's either
Mhm.
full-time or nothing really in most places. And my parents were kind of pushing me to go back and do it there. And I really just didn't want to be honest. I just enjoyed. I don't think I ever. I don't know what changed in my life, but I was a grinder in high school and I studied a lot. And then when I entered college, it became something that really repelled me at
Mm.
some point. And I felt like I didn't want to live the kind of lifestyle that everyone else in Jordan does, which is go to college and get an engineering or medical degree and then
Yep.
get married and then have,
Doctors and engineers.
yeah, get married and have 5 babies and
Mm. You just
live
want to play
through
Dota.
it. Yeah, but
understandable.
not so that I just don't think I really like perfectly aligned with a lot of my traditions,
Mm.
Jordanian cultural things that I didn't agree with, like the role of a woman in society traditionally.
Mhm.
I didn't really want to be a housewife or because even at some point, like women are encouraged to, of course, get a degree and work. Everyone is.
Mhm.
Every woman is, but I mean, at some point, you are expected to kind of even put that aside for your family,
Right.
right? And I don't know. None of it worked for me. My parents really tried to get me on track the way that they wanted me to be, but I was stubborn. I was stubborn.
Did you ever give your mom her laptop back?
No,
Oh, okay.
I took it with me.
Okay.
And it
So
broke.
let's.
Here's the too much.
Yeah.
So into Dota 2 you get with all the real life stuff going on at the same
Mhm.
time. You start getting better, I assume, unless you started at a
I
ridiculously high MMR.
I got like my year where I got really good was that second year of university in Jordan where I was skipping class and I was just playing Dota all day to mask my pain. But
Right.
yeah, no, that year was like I was playing maybe 12, 13, 14 games a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you formed some connections because of your brother and you playing at a high level.
I wouldn't say my brother like formed any connections for me.
Well, Kyle.
Yeah, but I guess Kyle, so I met Kyle at the Boston Major, and then we weren't super close friends or anything, but like that's where we met. We kind of talked, and then when Cole was looking for a mid player, I had him on Steam. I was like, check out my brother.
Oh, okay.
And then when Firo joined Cole, then Kyle and I became very good friends.
Do you regret that you pitched Firo instead of yourself? You could have played mid for Kyle.
No.
Mid Earth Spirit.
Also, Firo was super good at Dota.
Mhm.
I was
So you
I was
were
perfectly acceptably good for the average person, right? Like I was in the range where I don't know, there weren't badges back then. But when Firo was playing competitively, I was like between 5 and 6K. But Firo
And back
was
then, 8K was really high.
yeah,
I
but
think.
Firo was like an 8K player, so but
So not to skip ahead, but you were talking about this the other day how you thought at that moment, but it turned out to not be the case, that you might have the highest MMR family in the world,
yes.
right? What would that
We
number
are
be
a high of our
approximately?
family. Well, Firo doesn't play anymore, but
We can take his highest and we can add
Probably
it.
9K, right? Back
I
then.
think so. I think his highest was 9K.
Mhm.
And then Rudy, my little brother, who recently got super good, 9K. And
Enigma spammer.
yes, Enigma spammer, Grandmaster tier Enigma, 9K, and I'm 7K. So if you combine that, we're at
That's 25.
That is a
25.
lot.
That's 25K, Shannon. You got it to 25 as well, right?
Almost.
Yeah.
But I was corrected. I thought we were the highest from our family, but I was corrected by SVG, who told me one of the Hassan brothers
There's a third
There's
brother.
a third brother. I thought there were two brothers. I was like, they surely cannot defeat three of us. But apparently there are three of them, so...
Yeah, he was saying that
You
it's
can
the...
have this one, Hassan Brothers.
What was his name?
Yeah, so this is going to sound like a parody, but I
Yeah.
swear I'm not joking. The third brother nickname was Kumail.
Yeah, Kumail.
It was Kumail,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the exact same with a K, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And he said that at the time that the three of them, so Yawar, Sumail, and Kumail were playing.
And Kumail's the oldest.
And Kumail's the oldest, and they were playing in a team or something, and he played Morphling and he missed a waveform or whatever, and they
Yeah.
were like, "All right, you're not the carry anymore." And then
And he never
it was
played.
either Sumail or Yawar who became the carry.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a good story. I don't know. I wonder how long ago that is. SVG will have to tell that story at some
Yeah.
point, but that was pretty funny. So I guess Yawar and Sumail's combined MMR right now is probably like 21, 22, I guess, something like that. So if Kumail plays at all and he's like 5, 6, 7K, something like that, then
they win for sure.
that's the championship.
But you guys
for
are
me.
up there, no doubt about it.
I mean, we're up there for sure. I have a sister. If I taught her to play Dota, I think we would defeat them because 4 is certainly better than 3.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that is true.
But she would need years of training. I'm
Okay.
capable.
And everyone's
So
laptop.
And
Before
it doesn't
we
exist
get-
anymore. It's broken. That was a good laptop.
before we get into casting stuff or paneling or whatever, I want to ask you a general question. What is it about Dota that drew you? Like, I know that you obviously played Dota 1, you got introduced in a certain way. What do you like about Dota as a game versus any other game, let's say?
Like TFT or TFT.
Yeah,
Today or back then,
both, if they're different.
they are different.
Okay.
Actually, it's probably still the same, but I think back then it was really easy to just become obsessed with Dota because it was a social activity.
Mhm.
It was how I hung out with my friends. We played at the LAN cafe. We talked about it. I played with my brother. I just really liked the game. I wanted to get good. For me, it was a lot of fun, right? I really enjoyed the whole aspect of the 5v5 environment, which I don't enjoy that much anymore. That's where my answer changed. I think as I got older, it gets tiring to
Babysit.
babysit and interact. But like more importantly than anything, like consistently throughout my life, Dota has always been something that I turn to in moments of sadness and personal issues, and it was just very easy for me to kind of dissociate from reality and just play that game all day because it's so like intensive, I guess, where you dedicate all of your attention in that moment to winning and just playing the hero. It's like very mechanical, more so than other games, I would say. Not as much as something like StarCraft, but still, you're kind of dedicating every bit of yourself to that win in that moment. So it's a very distracting game.
It's kind of interesting that in moments of depression you would turn to a game that is, filled with people that make you feel bad when you play.
Yeah,
But,
because
yeah.
as bad as people make me feel when the pubs go wrong and people ruin, it's not as bad as I feel when I kind of like have to face some of the things that I don't want to. And it's not as
So it's about perspective,
yes.
basically.
And it being bad and losing sometimes, like that feeling does not trump the satisfaction and like the joy that you get when you win a good game of Dota. Like that feeling is probably still one of my favorite feelings in the world, where like you have to come back from a really difficult situation and someone makes a really good call and everyone presses their buttons correctly and you get the win. That's a great fucking feeling. And that feeling owns, right? Like people ruining the game, that sucks. And you should stop. I know a lot of your viewers.
You
Yeah,
guys
Jenkins.
watching.
Fucking
Yeah.
Stop
Jenkins,
it.
man.
Stop it.
I think the average
yeah.
podcast viewer has like 3K behavior score. So
Yeah.
I
probably.
got 10K behavior score.
there we go.
All right, so going from there, to you got invited to the Animated. That's, I believe, your first event, right?
Yeah.
Which I'd never heard of you. Cinder, had you heard of Ephey at that point?
Don't think so.
And
I
so
think we played a pub together.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
Cinder's a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Then, apparently.
We played a pub for sure.
you probably ruined.
You played Pugna. I played Earth Spirit.
Oh, then we won.
You
Then
said-
we must have won.
You said good job to me.
All right.
There you
I
go.
said thank you.
No.
Very
And
memorable.
I was not memorable enough.
Yeah, apparently not. Okay, so
Unfortunately.
you're invited to the Animajor, and there is a reaction. Let's just talk about that first from the community, right? Which, there's going to be positive and negative, of course. And the fact that
Question.
Okay.
Objection!
Please raise your
So,
hand.
Have we not talked about me a lot? I feel like I've talked a lot about myself.
That's literally the point of this episode.
You're the guest of the episode, so it's
Yeah.
about you.
At the end,
Forever?
we'll have more normal
No, just
discussion.
until the
Okay.
episode is over, not forever.
I mean, forever.
When the
for
episode's over, you can
episode.
leave the room and go and
Thank you,
play
Sandra.
Dota.
Thank you for clarifying. That's
You're welcome.
really
Yeah, if you need a
important
break to go play a pub real
clarification.
quick, I mean, by all means.
We
But
can come back later.
Oh, God.
so invited to the Animajor, and we can talk about the negative reception for people that being a woman, obviously in esports or Dota specifically, is pretty rough.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that initial reaction, if that affected you, or what was that like?
So what initial reaction are we talking about? Just like the general...
Like, you're announced going to the major. Most people never heard of you.
So the announcement.
Yes.
Yes, some of the comments were a little messed up.
Mm.
They were like attacking my integrity and implying that I had done something, which was very hurtful, and I can see how reactions like that can kind of turn off prospective women from potentially entering the scene. But actually, surprisingly, a lot of people were very polite and good about it too. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
So it's like a metaphor of a Dota game.
A
It's
little
like
bit.
the good of winning outnumbered the negative of losing for you.
I don't, because that's a very general statement about the entire thing. But this was just the announcement, right?
Right.
And there were people who watched my stream for a few years who messaged me and were like, I'm really excited to see you. This announcement made my day. So shout out to you guys. You guys made me excited for it. But, I mean, for the most part, the negative part of the announcement, I kind of tried to not pay that much attention to. But that it became hard to ignore when the major actually started, right?
Okay, so let's get into that then. So
that was different.
You fly out to Ukraine.
Mhm.
We all do, in fact.
Mhm.
That's my first event in fucking God knows how long. What was that experience like from every angle that you can think of? From as a talent, as just a woman, as like a Dota player,
Tourist.
A tourist. Yeah, how was Ukraine? This was during COVID, of course. So
Yeah, I mean,
As an avid Rich fan.
Rich himself.
Rich is excellent. I don't know. I think I was really nervous more than anything, so I couldn't really focus on my surroundings at the Animajor. It didn't really sink in that I was in another country because I had not gone on a vacation for a very long time. So I didn't even get to be excited about, oh, maybe I can walk out there and see this because COVID and we had to kind of bubble ourselves. So to be honest, outside of the whole hassle of traveling and airport procedures and getting held up at customs, like I always do, like I still do.
Brown skin syndrome.
George.
My cousin. My cousin has the same issue. You know.
Yeah, don't say it. That's pretty offensive.
Oh my god.
I think we might have to edit that one
I'm
out.
half brown.
We might have to edit that one out.
I was trying to protect you guys.
I mean,
now I feel ridiculed for
No.
for like trying to.
All right, I'll tell you a story.
You set up a great joke that we've run through. That's amazing.
Now
Great.
I feel bad for.
No,
for,
don't feel bad.
for trying to.
You were being considerate. That's fine.
Okay, what I don't.
Shanna just doesn't care.
Yeah, it's the apathy really kicking in again.
I don't care if they get canceled. You know.
Okay. Well, that's not very nice.
I did my
We're
best.
gonna cut that part out. For sure.
I did my best. Yeah, but no, I couldn't really I couldn't really focus on the whole being somewhere new thing. I was just really nervous because I had never done anything like it before. I hadn't considered doing anything like it before until it was offered to me, and I was like, well, that sounds kind of cool.
Let me not to go back to the whole brown skin thing, but that's in Europe. Like America, that's a thing, right? Like my cousin got stopped in the airport. This is like after 9/11, so it's a little bit, I guess, more hardcore. But they literally made him strip down into his underwear in front of everybody. It's like fucked up shit.
That's actually really fucked up.
But
is that allowed?
I mean, it was like right after 9/11, so everything was allowed. Like everything was like
Holy shit.
super bad.
That's so degrading.
It's really
It's very
it's fucked up. So, and I don't have as much experience, obviously not being brown. I mean, I'm half, but I don't look it, obviously. But in Europe, what are you laughing about? In Europe,
That's really offensive, Ephey.
Can
yeah, I agree.
you guys stop?
In Europe, you have those same
I was
issues.
really trying to be nice, and then now I'm just being made fun of, and this feels bad.
You
How do you
being
think
made
make
fun
fun
with.
of?
I was going to say, you don't look brown, but you have facial hair. You grow a good beard, and that's
Very.
characteristic of.
Oh, thank you.
know,
So do I.
So
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not the same.
Not the same.
But I'm curious. This isn't part of the podcast. Right? I'm just interested.
Mm.
Like, what are the issues you run into in the airports in Europe?
I don't want to like. It's not as bad as your cousin's story, obviously, but I get held up at customs. I'll like wait in line for an hour. Then it'll be my turn. They'll ask me all these questions, look at my passport. They'll be, can you step to the side, please? And then I will be escorted to the side.
Random search.
No, not a random search. Just because they need to follow up with me because my country isn't on. I guess there's a list.
Okay, I see.
There's a list, right? So they put me on the side, and I have to wait for my customs officer to come by, and sometimes like that could take anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour and a half, whenever they have time. So I'll just sit on the side till some guy shows up. They ask me some questions, like some extra questions. They make a few calls. I come to events with an invitation letter from the company that hired me, so they'll probably call the company and confirm that, is she really coming? Does she really work for you? They'll get a little bit of information and then they let me through.
I see.
But it's a really long process.
Yeah, that's
So is that always at your final destination, or is it sometimes in transit?
No, never in transit. You just
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if it was in transit, it was like, how do you ever plan a trip
Yeah.
when you have to
No.
account for like being held up for?
okay.
That's awful, though.
So
I mean, I thought that because like I've been doing it for a while now. I've got like a couple of nice little stamps on my passport, when they're flicking through, what is this Jordanian passport? They flick through it, they say, oh, this person's been to a couple of places. It helps a little bit now because I've been to Sweden so many times where they kind of see that they've stamped me.
Mhm.
And I think it makes the whole process go a little bit more smoothly, but there is a waiting period that takes a lot of time.
So when you got here this time,
This time, they said, can I see your vaccination certificate? And then I showed it to them, and they said, did you get your vaccines in Jordan? And then I said, yes. And they said, no,
and then what happened?
that's unacceptable.
No, but come on in. You're here. So what happened?
No. I think I actually got pretty lucky because I wouldn't have been let in, and they told me to read the rules properly next time, but it had never been an issue before. But apparently, at that point in time, vaccinations from Jordan were not accepted, even though it was a Pfizer vaccine, but my flight was delayed by an hour. So when I came to the airport, I think 3 other flights had landed as well at the same time, and the airport was super crowded. And the customs guy was really nice. He called the supervisor, told him of the vaccine thing. The supervisor goes, it's really busy. You just make a decision. So the guy just let me through.
Oh, wow.
Because
That's fortunate.
they did not have time for it. So, I mean,
so what would have happened then? Would they have forced you to take a Swedish booster before they would let you in, or what?
no, they probably would have sent me back.
Shit.
A lot of people get sent back at the airport. I mean, thank God that didn't happen. I'm here. So.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I think that at that time, Canada was also on the list of countries whose vaccination certificates are not accepted. So I don't necessarily think that it had to do with like race or anything like that. I think it had to do with some kind of procedure or some kind of bureaucratic thing. So I don't want to make any assumptions there.
Okay, so back to the animator. You're nervous.
Yeah.
You go on air.
We're flip-flopping a lot.
Yeah, I know. That's the nature of conversation in general, right?
That's true. Thank you, Shannon.
No,
you guys are just teaching me so much about life. Syndrome goes, oh, you don't have to be here forever. I mean, just until the end.
So, just
you said forever.
Sum up.
That's the hyperbole.
Sum up the experience then.
Is that
your first event?
Nerves.
Yeah.
Tears.
Tears.
Yes.
From what?
Anxiety and online comments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fun. Especially towards the end when I did my panels with Tsunami and Jenkins. I think I was so focused on like not throwing up on stage and just trying to do a good job that I never really got to be present in the moment and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
But then when I started to panel with Jenkins, he has a very disarming personality because he's always talking about his feces and
and the moment he started talking about shit, you were like, now I don't need to throw up. Usually people have the opposite reaction.
No, but think about it, right? Like I'm
I don't
nervous.
want to.
I have no problem with it. You know me.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous about doing this job for the first time. I'm like really trying to remember what did this team pick last time, and then
Trying to be
Jenkins.
so professional, and there's this clown.
And then Jenkins is like, I just had a really great shit on panel. And then all of a sudden it's like, can I even be serious anymore? So I felt like I got to be more. I got to be more. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Jenkins. And of course, Tsunami was able to facilitate the humor very much.
Facilitate the PCs, yeah,
The
understandable.
PCs,
Facilitate, that's what we call it.
I think
Facilitate.
during grand finals, we were specifically told to prevent Jenkins from talking about.
Right.
So you get the instructions, not him. He doesn't get told, hey, don't talk about shit.
Instead of not putting him on the panel.
There were other solutions to that problem, I feel.
That's fine.
So, okay. So overall, would you say the Animager experience was good?
I think it was good in that it started my career, but I mean, obviously, if I could go back now, I would tell myself a lot of things. How to approach it differently, how to like stay away from the internet while I'm working, right? Not to look for any kind of.
Don't be like Cinderin, where he literally reads Twitch chat while he's casting, which is fucking unreal.
That does not happen that much. But sometimes.
But it happens.
It does happen occasionally.
Okay.
Sometimes happen.
There you go.
I can't understand it. Even I can't do that, so.
I would say something, but I decided not to because
It's okay, we can cut it out, just
I'm
like
a
the whole
nice
episode.
person. No, yeah, I would tell myself to just get the feedback from people around me and to just be myself more, right? Because I don't really feel like it was easy for me to just be in the moment during the Animager. But it was nice because then I got hired afterwards for some other things, and now I can say that I'm okay. Unless I'm doing Weatherman. I don't like to do that.
You don't like Weatherman?
No, I do not. No.
Well, you also don't like casting because you keep dodging casting with me.
That's not because she doesn't like casting.
No.
That's probably true.
Casting itself is fine, and I had a lot of fun when we casted, and I would like to do it again. I just think that a lot of people react very negatively to the way that I sound like. So if I cast, I'm talking more, and I'm talking over the Dota game that they're watching. So like a lot of the hate that I get gets cranked up like times 10 when I cast compared to when I panel. So I just try.
Is that actually true? Really?
Yeah. I got a lot more negative like comments and DMs and people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I just try to avoid that.
I see.
But I had a lot of fun when we did NA regionals. I would happily do it again.
Except not this time because, who was it that cast with me instead of you this time?
Purge.
It was Purge.
But I was
Mr.
feeling.
Purge Gamers.
I was not feeling good.
Right. At first, I thought you dodged me again.
No,
but-
I wasn't feeling good. I was feeling very sick that night.
So, all right, we'll
I
skip
believe you.
by.
I saw you.
We'll skip past like the ESL and stuff like that. But your first TI, you're invited. What was that experience like then? Because it was a weird TI, no crowd.
Yeah.
It was in Romania instead of Sweden.
Because it's
Things were-
different when you don't have the reference, right?
That's exactly the point. Like, because coming in, like, what were you expecting? And
What were
did
you
it-
expecting, Shannon?
Well, I had low expectations
So did I.
because it was not in Sweden and everything was kind of put together last minute, and obviously the crowd situation. But still had fun. How about you?
What about you, Cinder?
It's about you.
Okay.
We've talked about this a year ago.
Yeah, we have talked about this.
To be honest, I'm not gonna lie, it was disappointing. I think everyone in the world would be excited to work TI, and it's not what I had in mind, but that was due to the nature of, COVID and a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So I just really wanted that experience of feeling like super involved in my favorite game, and that didn't really happen. I kind of felt like the scheduling didn't make anybody happy, so everybody was grumpy. No one had time to actually really talk to each other. Like at the major, when we would sit together in the green room and watch the games and comment and like eat snacks, and that environment wasn't there at TI, so it felt very all work, no play, kind of. Which is
that's
fair. Which is fair, but it takes away from I think talent's ability to be themselves, because a big part of it is feeling comfortable, right? And I don't think I was comfortable for most of TI.
I will definitely say, like, compared to other TIs, what you're saying is true, and I think so. Primarily, COVID is the reason, right? Like, there's just too many. There's too many external problems that they had to fix. It's COVID that makes it short notice, so they have to set up things pretty quickly. It's COVID that prevents us from being more social and doing things outside of the game. It's COVID that messes up the scheduling as well. Like all of these, like there's a lot of factors that play together in making that a different experience. But you don't have the reference of working previous TIs, but the thing that you're looking for is what has generally been the case in past TIs when COVID wasn't there. So I think it's fair to put the majority of the blame on that at least, and just be like, that sucks, but you got to deal with it.
I would say so too, because we had the COVID scare when a couple of people got COVID and we thought everyone might have COVID, and then we had to wear masks on camera and we had to stay away from each other for as much as we could. Like, I understand that the circumstances were really bad. So it wasn't the kind of TI that I would have hoped for to be my first TI, but I think next year or this year will be nicer because the world is also, opening up a little bit more.
If you could choose anywhere you wanted for any reason, where would you want TI to be this year?
Where I want it to be.
Yeah. If you could pick literally anywhere.
I don't know. I don't think I have the same experience that you guys have with like majors and TIs in different countries. I've only ever been to like America and Sweden and Ukraine.
Oh, then you can pick based on those if you want.
Between America, Sweden, and Ukraine?
Mm-hmm.
I think Sweden.
Okay.
Because it just feels like it's easier for me to come here than it would be to go to America. I don't know.
You wouldn't want it in an arena in Jordan or something?
There's no arena.
There's got to be. I mean, there's got to be a soccer stadium somewhere.
There's a soccer stadium. It's called the Medina Riyadiyya.
Okay.
But it's not really set up for things like esports. So, I mean, a TI in the Middle East. I think there are some countries that could probably host it, but I think there would be a lot of issues politically and all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Sweden's cool. Sweden's got good food.
Yeah, the only thing...
Sweden's nice.
It's not a knock against Sweden necessarily. We just come here so often that's less exciting versus a new play. Like, I like to go to a new play. Like Australia, for example, or New Zealand would be fucking sick, but...
That sounds really cool. And then,
it's unlikely, but...
Yeah, the connections for fans there are not exactly the best, right?
Do you think an Australian-themed TI would have, like... You know what?
Live animals on stage?
No, it wouldn't.
Kangaroos?
I was gonna say people dressed up as kangaroos, and then I realized that's never gonna fucking happen because it's TI, and you're supposed to, be professional.
I don't know. Did you see Jenkins at TI? He looked like a fucking demon that crawled out of a sewer.
Which time are we
I don't know, the one with ink on his face.
But again, I think it's also a bit of an amplifying factor, right? Because I think if TI is running as it's supposed to, I think people are more loose and there's more space for fun, right? Because people have like excess energy, including production, including the people running the show, will be more like lax about it. But this time it was very tight because of all the problems. Yeah. So I think, like TI has had like these different variants. I don't know. How many TIs have you watched? Did you watch TI 5 when James was host, for example?
I watched the games, but I didn't really watch
James
the production.
and Shiver, I think, were the hosts at TI 5.
I watched... So I went to 3 TIs in person, and I kind of got the full experience there. Mm-hmm. But the ones before that, I just watched the games. I never watched the production. So
we've been through like different iterations. So we had like TI 2 and 3, which was when Bruno was on panel as well, right? And they had like all these like fun segments and banter. And then TI 5... I think it was TI 5 at least, they experimented with making it like more ESPN kind of professional sports setting, and it was like very like tight and strict. And a lot of the community just really didn't like it. And the people working it also thought it was way too stiff and boring, so they wanted something more free. So then the next years they like moved the format around. And I think now kind of the place we're at is that TI is meant to, it's meant to respect the teams, it's meant to be professional in that sense, but we're also meant to, it's a video game, we're having fun. People want to watch to have fun. So it's like a genre difference. So I think this year's TI was in some ways probably stiffer than TI 9 was, and then TI 8 was, and I think TI 11 will also be more relaxed. So you can dress up in a kangaroo costume if you ask in advance. Probably.
I would like to. If you guys see me at TI 11 and it's perfectly allowed, I'll wear a kangaroo costume.
It won't be in Australia. This is gonna be a bit weird that you're wearing that.
That would be strange, but I'll find something more relevant.
What's a Swedish animal that would make sense?
You know what?
Reindeer.
Oh yeah, that's
Shannon would eat you.
Oh my goodness, delicious.
Why would you eat a poor little reindeer?
I mean, they're delicious. What can I say? If it tastes good, I'll do it. If it's human meat, maybe. Man, don't knock it till you try it.
Well, I would say something, but you'll just make fun of me. So you know what? Yes,
Well,
you
then
heard
I'm
it
with
right.
you.
Sunstan does endorse cannibalism.
Well, I didn't. I'm not endorsing it, but I'm not against it.
I mean, like a nice short list of people here as talent. If anyone were a
God.
cannibal, Shannon would probably be
Jenkins
up there.
would be number one.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's be real.
But
Yeah.
would you be an ethical cannibal?
Probably, yeah. Well, what does that mean?
You tell me, and then apply that answer to
They'd
reindeer.
have to be dead already. I wouldn't have to kill them myself, right? The problem is when you eat the brains of a human, apparently it causes disease in you, so it's not worth
Yeah,
it.
so maybe you just stay away from that.
So I've heard.
Or the conversation in general.
Honestly, anything with the brain is just disgusting. There's this Iranian dish called kalapache. It's like goat brains or something.
It's kind of like haggis. I
Fucking
guess.
disgusting. Holy shit.
Haggis is sheep's
Common.
brain, right?
Yeah. I could never. Okay, back on topic.
Didn't people start eating all these excess organs because there was a food shortage? So people started to eat liver
think that was
and
what
brains,
It originated with, yeah.
and then they kind of turned into delicacies over the years.
Sure.
I think that's pretty much what happened.
Okay, back to the talent stuff. So TI happens, you're slightly disappointed, but I mean, that's kind of...
Can we go back to talking about brains? Because we're back here talking about me.
I mean, the entire episode, it's going to be called with special guest Ephey, so it's going to be weird if we don't
I mean,
talk
we can
about
call it with special guest Synderen and Sons fan featuring Ephey.
it.
If that
True. So coming in now, you're basically a year in
Yeah.
to your esports casting career or whatever. Is there anything about being a talent that has surprised you, whether it be positive or negative or both?
I think the biggest surprise was how nice everybody in Dota is.
Except for Cinder.
Except for Synderen. Synderen is awful.
Yep.
Oh,
Synderen is great. I take that back.
wow.
Big Synderen.
That was a
Quick
180.
If you if you are subscribed to him on Twitch. there's
Look
an,
at this.
Wow.
I like this.
Wow.
there's an emote. Giga. That is very good. That emote, I strongly recommend
Damn.
obtaining it for
All
yourself.
right, back on topic.
Oh, right. No, I think
After selling out Cinder in here.
that was a. I think you have make a good point. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on subscribing to my Twitch?
Sin Giga, he's got like a crazy expression on his face and he's shaking. It's good.
Great. Okay, so the question was...
It's not so different from real life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
I mean, it is my face.
So what surprised you?
I think everyone's kindness and willingness to.
So you were expecting
help me.
everybody to be a douche nozzle.
No, I thought it would be a more competitive environment because that's kind of what
It is in other games.
Yeah, that's what I heard about other games.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what I assumed in any setting where people are in a sense pitted against each other. But everyone was really kind, really helpful, and I just think that I made friends and friendships that I didn't expect.
That's
to
cool.
make.
That's a very positive
That's
spin.
very positive.
Very nice.
Negative stuff.
Sure, yeah, I'm sure there's a long list.
I didn't realize how much. Well, I knew, but I didn't realize how much people online want to complain about everything. Like, I knew that people enjoyed complaining, but
I enjoy complaining.
they just really like to complain and
Nitpicking.
yeah, every little thing. It's
See, I
interesting.
enjoy complaining when I have all the information, but typically people on the outside won't have much information to go out. They're just assuming a lot, right? So that's when the complaining gets a bit tiresome. And then that's why devs like Valve or talent or whoever they're complaining about ends up kind of tuning them out at some point, right? It's like a vicious cycle of nothing ends up getting done. At least that's how I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to complain about things that really matter, but there's like a lot of bandwagon complaining, a lot of bandwagon hatred towards individuals who are completely unrelated to the things that you're complaining about, but they will get scapegoated, and just being on the receiving end of that is not that pleasant, to be honest. But
Example. I have the example, sorry.
what's your example?
It's like if somebody this happened to me many times, it's happened to you. Cinder not, because everybody loves Cinder for some reason.
That's
but
untrue.
when somebody is invited to like a TI or like there's always somebody that's not going to get invited, right? And then you have these comparisons. Oh, why was this person invited, not this? And a lot of the time, they're not even the same fucking job. That's the hilarious thing. How bad those, like,
Yeah.
badly educated those comments are. It's like not even remotely the same thing. Like, oh, you don't like this host? A play-by-play should have been invited instead of that. What are they gonna fucking do as a play-by-play as a host? They can't do that job.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb, but in their defense, I think that it's just the reasoning of like for TI, for example, I think to them it was possible, like it was within possibility, the realms of possibility, so to speak, to bring in more people.
Right.
Maybe that's what they meant. But yeah, I agree with you. That sucks to hear. Obviously, I mean more so along the lines of yesterday, um, Entity beat Nigma, right? And there wasn't time for an interview because they had to change studios and all of that. I don't work in a DPC often, so I don't know how long that setup takes, but they do know, so I assume they would operate within that time frame. And there were comments online about why are the talent not interviewing Entity? Why they're here all the time? They're getting comfortable in their jobs. It has nothing to do with us.
Well, I'd like to interject.
It's not my job.
Getting
I don't know.
comfortable. The couches in the green room are dog shit. I am never comfortable in that green room. I don't know how you guys feel. It's something about Swedish. It's always a Swedish furniture, man. Like this one is actually okay, but actually even this, like the back is just not high. Like a couch should be higher so you can rest your head.
I agree.
That's what I feel like a couch. The requirement is the basic requirement.
No, I agree. The Swedish beds are also designed by a sociopath.
Yeah.
I don't
Glad we
know.
can agree on
If
that.
you guys don't know, they take two twin beds and they put them together. So there was just like this gap in the middle. And also
It's
the
the worst.
pillows are square. They're not rectangular.
It is odd.
They're square. Pillows should be rectangular. You need a little bit of room to like shift to the left, shift to the right. No, if you shift to the left or the right, you fall off the pillow. And then I wake up with neck pains. And I ask myself, what happened?
Every day I get neck pain. Every fucking day.
Okay, I feel crazy sometimes. I complain about the pillow.
They have missed on every everything in here is
suggestion.
hipster. Some hipster made all this shit.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
You can bring your own pillow from home.
I did, and I still get neck pain because the pillow I have assumes that you have a bed that isn't soft as fuck. Like I have a nice firm bed at home. Okay.
I disagree there.
Well,
I think
what do you mean you disagree?
the bed should be nice and soft.
Well, everybody has different preferences, and I'm saying my pillow is designed for a normal firmness. This is like sleeping. I don't even know what the hell it's. I can't even come up with a comparison. It's awful. Anyway, you got me all riled up. Thanks for that.
But do you know what also sucks in Sweden?
What's
Swedish Subway.
so? I've
What
never
is
been
up
in
with
it.
that?
I've never been in the subway.
The Subway that we order. At
Oh, the food. Okay, what do you hate about their subway here?
the Subway that we order at the studio. You can put in the order very specifically, and then you will get your sandwich, and it's missing like 5 out of the 7 ingredients that you mentioned every time.
Wow,
Every time.
impressive.
Every single time. Come on.
And
Step it
they
up.
don't cut pizza here either.
Have you not tried?
I think I ordered there once and I got what I wanted.
Oh. Perhaps I am just cursed.
I'm just lucky.
Okay, moving on.
Perhaps you are just fortunate.
Why do you like LGD so much?
Oh, that's a good segue.
Oh.
Speaking of Subway sandwiches with missing ingredients.
Yeah?
They were missing some ingredients in MTI.
Okay. LGD. Aside from the fact that I do think, unironically, they're the best team in the world, and it's just a lot of fun to watch them. When I was preparing for the Animajor, I watched them the most because I kind of had this feeling that I would be working on the less popular games during the major because I was new. So I did a lot of research, obviously, for all regions, but the games that I watched most closely were the Chinese region and some of the SEA games.
Mm-hmm.
And because I thought that I should have the most intimate knowledge of these 2 regions at the major. And I was right. I did end up being put on those games because obviously the more popular regions by the Western audience should have the more experienced talent. So, but when I was watching LGD, I don't know, it just had a little special place in my heart. I was, wait, this team's actually really fucking good. I think they might just surprise everybody. And then they started their run, and I kind of felt like.
And they were the front runners, I would say, going to TI.
Yeah,
for sure.
they just started being this unstoppable team, and I kind of felt super connected to them because it was how I practiced for my first event, and after that I just had to keep cheering for them.
All right, that's a good answer. Good, clean answer.
Good clean answer. Are you implying that my other answers were
Dirty? I mean,
Dirty?
if I had asked this to anybody else, like Cinder would have gone on some droning. I wouldn't have listened after like the first 10 seconds.
That's
So
any answer to anything. So
that is
What do you have
actually
to
pretty
say
accurate.
for yourself? No, that's
I'm apathetic at this point.
All right, so let's transition a bit. We
Mm-hmm.
can get on to more current events in just a moment. What do you have planned? Maybe a better question is where do you expect, like, what do you envision yourself in like 5 to 10 years?
No fucking idea.
What is
Good
there
answer.
something? Is there something you want to do? Because
I
for me,
think-
I like doing a bunch of little stuff.
Mhm.
I don't like focusing on one thing. Like, do you enjoy doing this talent work as a full-time thing, or would you rather it be divided with something else, like streaming or whatever?
To be honest, I don't know how long I can be in the public eye for because it does take a toll on me, and I've kind of been trying to remove myself from, not remove myself, but I've been trying to like distance myself from my online presence, so less active on social media, not streaming very often. Just because to be in this state where you're getting constant feedback
Yeah.
from all angles all the time is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I could do that for many years. I could probably do this for like 3 or 4 years before I would completely be drained
Yeah.
of my ability to do so.
And you
So
never know, you might get used to it to a certain degree to be able to put up with it, let's say, for a longer
yeah,
period.
I mean maybe after years of therapy. Maybe because people change, right? We're dynamic creatures. I'm not the person that I was last year, and I'm not the person that I was 2 years ago. I do feel like every year I learn something more, and I try to become better and kind of focus on my flaws. But that doesn't mean that all of them are addressable, right? So I think my anxiety at online feedback is probably something that's always going to exist.
So let's say that just somehow that isn't an issue in this alternate universe.
If it weren't an
Like, do
issue,
you enjoy what you're doing otherwise?
otherwise, yeah.
Okay. And is there anything that, again, forgetting about the feedback and all that bullshit that you have to put up with? Because obviously I've had to put up with all the bullshit, but I can't imagine what it's like for a woman in the scene. And just that, like, how do I say this? It's like my intention from the very beginning was never to be like a personality on camera. Like, it's not something but like I enjoy to as much as other people would, let's say. I like doing like a little project, like casting is fun just because it's just fun doing the actual thing. It's not because people are watching necessarily, right?
Question.
Yes?
Sorry, I realized that when I turn my head to talk to you guys, I move away from the microphone, and
I've been looking at the levels.
Okay.
They're
Passable.
okay.
I'll boost it in post edit
Yes.
after we cut out all the stupid things that were said, I guess.
All right, because somewhere like
So just don't look at us. Is what
no,
you're
it's just no. I need to, you don't want to be engaged, but oftentimes in the studio I get scolded like talking to the microphone and turn it up
Right.
and turn it down. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to do? It doesn't even have to be Dota related.
I think there are a lot of things that I want to do, and I don't necessarily ever plan or think in the long term. I just know that now I'm in a privileged place where I have a lot of career prospects, right? Because there are going to be at least another few events for me. So for now, like I just want to work as much as I can, and then wherever I am in a couple of years, hopefully I'll have like the capital behind me to pursue whatever interests that I have then.
Which
right?
you don't know what they are yet.
I do know my interests. I have quite a few of them, but I don't want to say that this is what I'm going to do because, I mean, obviously, look at my track record. Every time I do something, I just end up doing something else.
Right, that's life in general, right? Yeah. Okay, let's switch things up.
Oh.
DPC. We don't have to talk about NA necessarily. But
That's Syndrin.
Yep, Cinder's name is on there.
Yay!
Can you pronounce his name?
Charles Lingold Nielsen.
Tulls is actually how you pronounce that.
Yeah, let's say that. That's good.
Trolls.
What are your current
Lingo.
thoughts on the DPC? We can talk as a threesome here. So we got
We're
North
done?
America. Well,
Yes.
yeah, the focus is less on you now. It's more of a group effort, as it were.
Very good.
Obviously, some of these we're not going to go over standings necessarily, but just like a general outlook on how things are going, because things obviously can change in the next few days when we're going to be actually posting the episode, but as of now, like in Western Europe, Nigma are 0-5. Is that a big surprise to either of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Definitely.
think that, I mean, looking at the standings, it's possible for them to tie for like bottom 3 and not get relegated, I think, right?
It's possible,
There's
but
some
not
mathematical
likely.
possibility.
It's
Yeah.
not
Unlikely.
very unlikely. I do think that they are 95% relegated at this point.
What do you think their issue is? Either of you. Do they need to, I mean, if they get relegated, you'd have to think that some sort of roster change
Okay,
occurs.
I think for me, I feel a little bit pretentious when I talk about what's going on with teams behind the scene because I don't know, and I
Yeah,
don't.
but that's our job to speculate,
Right. It's our job to speculate, but it still feels like a little bad because I know some of these players personally, and I feel like I'm attacking them personally. But I just do think that, uh, for me, like their ideas revolving Dota and the patch and how to win, they're just not fresh. They're not good. They're not keeping up with every other team in that sense. They need some kind of new thinker to enter the mix, and they have to be willing to like open themselves up to whoever this person is that's introduced, whether it be a new player or a new coach or anything like that. They need to be just willing to be flexible in their play style because I feel like a lot of these players are kind of stuck in an older kind of mentality, to be honest. It seems like when teams like Gladiators and Tundra and even Entity come in with all of these really cool new ideas and takes on Dota, it just works a lot better than being stuck in your old ways.
Right.
It's weird because it feels like the sum of the parts is lesser than the individual in this team almost. Like all the individual players are very skilled. They're very good. Like maybe they're not all playing at their peak performance, but everybody can definitely improve. But you have someone like GH, who's now ranked 1 on the individual leaderboard as a support player. Like he's, they're all capable, but when they play in this competitive environment right now, I feel like the best way I can explain it from my perspective is they lack a little bit of direction. I think it's kind of the way you're thinking about ideas as well, right? It's like skilled individuals, but the synergy and the feeling of unity in the game just isn't really there. They're like in different positions with like different mindset of how to approach fights, what the timings are, what they're supposed to do, where some of these teams that arguably have lesser individually skilled players just play more tight. They play more together, they know what they're trying to do, and even if they execute it at the perfect execution from them, maybe that's like 80% of a perfect execution from Nigma, but they just land it all the time. Whereas Nigma's dream fights or dream strategies come together too rarely. So that's how I feel about it. It's a shame, Teams have their ups and downs. Superstar teams have fallen apart or have had down moments and come back up. The problem for Nigma is that there's very far between their highs lately, right? Like since TI, there hasn't really been. They had this one LAN event recently. Was that the one in Dubai? I think they got 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Where they looked a lot better. I think this is definitely a LAN team. I think they've always been better on LAN than online. But in the state of affairs in Pro Dota, you have to be able to play online. Like the regional qualifiers are online. If you want to go to the majors, you have to be able to play online.
I think that's a shit excuse, right? To say they're good at LAN, it's the LAN team, and not an excuse, but that's just a shit quality. That's not a quality that you want to have, and if
it's a great quality when you are at the LAN.
Yeah, but you need to work on that.
Yeah.
If you want to continue to compete, I think, back when Miracle came into Dota and kind of blew everyone away with how good he was just miles beyond everyone else that he was playing against, right?
At the time.
He was exceptional, but I think Dota's at the point where everybody's exceptional. Like nobody is that good anymore where you say they're just miles ahead of everybody else. No players like that exist. I would say roughly even the teams with some of the most individually skilled players in the world, there are a lot of other teams with incredibly individually skilled players. If they're worse, they're slightly worse. It's not, there used to be a huge skill disparity back in the day, and that doesn't exist anymore. I think Dota just became a lot more figured out, a lot more understood, and there's always some younger player who works really hard who is going to come in and be just as good as some of the old guard, right? So you can't really be carried by individual skill the way that you could years ago.
So again, we're not going to talk about individual standings because things are going to change a lot. I'd rather just talk about general, like the teams, like Gaming Gladiators. I mean, we can't be surprised that they're doing well because they crushed it last season as well. Liquid started off really slow but they're starting to bounce back now. But I mean, we've cast a lot of NA, which we'll get to in just a moment. But EU is so much more competitive. It's actually not even funny how like it's just night and day difference.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch a lot of NA games, but I did tune into EG Quincy Crew yesterday.
Ooh.
And that really was not what I expected,
Yeah.
to be honest. And I think we got this kind of glimmer of hope from NA last tour when it looked pretty competitive.
Internally, the glass half full way of thinking about this is if EG is stomping Quincy that much, maybe it's time for them for some international greatness again, right? Like if they're that much better. It was only one series, but that was not even remotely close.
Yeah.
And last season, Quincy, TSM, and EG were like playing way more like evenly across the season. Now, Shannon and I, we've been talking about, we feel like there's like a clear tiering right now. And that was before the Quincy series yesterday happened. But we had this feeling that Quincy's just not quite on the level of the other two. And if anything, yesterday definitely was confirmed they weren't on EG's level that day. So yeah, in NA, EG and TSM, clearly the favorites, right? And it's for 2 slots. So it's not like it's over because of Quincy's loss, but now they basically mathematically pretty much have to beat TSM, right?
Yeah.
It's a do or die game.
Pretty much.
Because I don't see EG or TSM losing to anyone else. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not realistic in a best of 3 right now. Like,
But it makes you wonder, because TSM recently sponsored Team, and they're performing really well, whereas Quincy Crew is still looking for that kind of sponsorship. I wonder how much that actually
I mean, they have 2 members that are out of the country, I believe,
affected that
right?
performance.
Milan and Ponlo? No,
No,
Kezu.
Kezu as well.
Well, where's Ponlo?
Wait, where's Pon? I don't know actually.
I think.
At least 2 players out of the NA right now, maybe 3. So ping is an issue. Obviously, not being in the same, like, not being able to have a cohesive boot camp.
And also just time schedules, right? It's got to affect you somehow. That the players, if you're playing from different regions, right?
I mean, we've seen
not ideal.
Milan's webcam. He has to do crazy stuff to stay awake at that hour.
You know, sometimes when we get those candid cam things of players, I wonder if we're doing them dirty a little bit, because I don't know what kind of person Milan is. He might have thought it was hilarious, but I know someone else would have been very humiliated and very likely to do the weird webcam angle that a lot of pros do, where they're on webcam, but they're really not. Yeah, I feel like maybe
that's why I feel like we should embrace Milan and what he's doing.
yes, we should embrace it.
Yeah,
but
he's clearly doing it on purpose for fun, right? Which is amazing. It's nice to see something.
is he doing it on purpose for fun? I don't think they know when they're being highlighted. Is the point?
I don't think he's sitting there talking to his like plushie during the draft if he's not on camera. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is. He's like,
well, that's disturbing if he's doing it off camera.
Yeah.
On camera, it's funny. Off camera, very sad, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure every clip we've seen with him has been kind of
what?
playing for the audience. I think.
I will embrace it. I just I like to kind of be considerate of whether or not people are embarrassed when these things happen. So I just think that I think that maybe players could put in, like, if you see me picking my nose or something, please don't highlight that. I think maybe players should be able to say something like that, and the ones willing to kind of be the clowns, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
I mean, if
this is a responsibility that production will always have in any sort of entertainment industry of that kind, right? Where someone is on camera, like you kind of have someone who needs to do a judgment call in the moment. Is this good content that doesn't do the players?
I mean, I've seen a lot of NBA coaches pick their nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know how some players like have that weird camera angle where you can't really see them, it's just like the top of their head where they're sitting in the dark because they don't want to be caught doing something embarrassing, most likely.
Right.
Yeah. So
you could also argue it's kind of like the flip side argument is that you could kind of argue that it's kind of what you sign up for. You're playing in an entertainment industry. You know you're going to be on camera. People are watching.
Yeah.
If you're on stage at a LAN, you can't switch off the audience.
Yeah, but I will say this: like in traditional sports, you're coached for this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
esports,
that's true.
I bet you 0 people have been coached.
No media training.
Like I agree, it should be part of the job, but that should be part of it as well. Is getting coached to be a little bit more comfortable.
That is definitely fair.
I
But
don't know.
I agree with Ephey too. Like it's also the responsibility of the producer who is showing stuff on screen, like to filter stuff that's just degrading, right? Like we like to have like these funny moments, and I hope most of the time that the players realize we're laughing with them and not at them. And I understand that can be hard to to in the moment, especially if you're like losing, it can feel like degrading, like you're just mocking them. But an example for me that I think is just really funny and is good for the player was Fata when he was trying to drink from a bottle and the cap wasn't off, and it was like replayed
Yeah.
on broadcast, and he just embraced it in the interview after and had fun with it.
Mm.
Like that shows personality, that gives content for interviews, that give people something to. I think that added to his to the experience fans had watching that moment, even though it was technically embarrassing for him. But I can see for other players in that moment, if they're not like as comfortable with speaking English or being part of the interview or being displayed in that way, that's very individual.
Yeah.
How people work with that. So.
I don't know if I'm being too considerate in this regard, but like I like to think of most things when they happen to other people as how would I feel if that were me?
Right.
And I would feel like shit if I got caught like doing something really embarrassing, because like drinking from an unopened bottle is funny, right? It's
Right.
not as humiliating
That's what I mean.
as like
You need to filter. So what would
Yeah.
be something? What's something that you think has happened that you would be really uncomfortable with, if you can think
I
of
mean,
it?
I think the Moam thing, I would have a hard time living that down for me personally. I think if he thinks it's funny, that's cool, right?
I genuinely believe he did it on purpose.
Okay.
That's what I
So,
But-
yeah, then that's fine. And by the way, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have these funny, candid moments. We really should. But I think that maybe, like, the players who are uncomfortable can just put in a request, like, if you catch me doing something, please don't use it.
Mm.
And
I think if any player
Yeah.
did that, they would respect it. I just
Yeah,
don't think the
exactly.
players are trained or
Exactly.
go out of their way to say
Yeah.
that.
So I think maybe if they knew that option was open, that would be nice.
Okay.
But like I just remember a moment last tour when it was a secret game, okay, and it went. I'm not making it up. It happened, right? It went from they were showing the webcams of players, and it went from ice, ice, ice. He was picking his nose, so they tried to be nice, switch it to the next guy, and it was the Yapsor, and he also was picking his nose. Yeah, I can't remember if there was a third nose pick, but like I'm sure, perhaps the nose moment. I don't think Ice Ice would give a crap to
No,
be
he-
No,
honest.
he doesn't care.
Yeah. But that's something that I would be very embarrassed
Mhm.
if that happened to me, right? But I digress. I don't even know how we started talking about this. Yeah.
I don't remember either, actually. Though. It was a good combo. All right, next thing, your thoughts on the Primal Beast patch. A lot of people are disappointed no terrain changes. I'm guessing
Yeah,
you
not
fall in the same
great.
category.
Not great. It feels like
Actually, before we go to that, if I can just interject quickly, since you're also a bit more into the other scenes, including SEA, I know China is different this time around, and so is
cars.
Eastern Europe. I'll just open it here for the overview. What's your take on SEA right now, overall?
I think Polaris probably the biggest surprise. Boom doing well as expected. T1 doing well expected. I think Fnatic was always a team like on the cusp.
Mhm.
This is like a quick rundown. Always a team that was just on the cusp of that top 2 spot contender, and they finally like hit that stride. Right? I still haven't watched the games closely enough to see which players are standing out. Today is actually my SEA catch-up day.
Mm.
I do that on Sundays. Yeah. And I
You do
think-
research?
I do.
I don't.
But I think Polaris kind of shows, not just Polaris, just Braim's performance and Entity's performance. It
Mm.
really shows that a lot of these Division 2 teams
Are actually good. Yeah.
are actually good.
Yeah.
So the system does work
Mm.
to an extent. I know there's a lot of criticism towards it, but it has given a lot of Division 2 teams like
Yeah.
a way to show that they are completely like able to
Yeah, I think
compete
most people just want
with the
the
big
tweaks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I guess we'll see
overall,
about Talon as well next season, because
Yeah.
now they made Division 1,
Mm.
the team that Fly was playing for last season. Just very quickly on SA, last season Beast Coast were kind of like so-so, and then when it came to the regional finals they just crushed it, because I have this feeling that this team just really rises to the occasion when it matters. This time around the season they're looking really good. Do you think there's like anything different that Beast Coast have brought to the mix this time, or were they just slow last time?
I think it's closer to TI, so it matters more to them. Beast Coast to me, like when it feels like there's going to be a more obvious reward, they play better.
Okay.
That's just the impression that I get from them. I'm not that familiar with Thunder Awaken. I haven't really watched their games, but I do watch the Beast Coast highlight videos, and they've looked really good. I think usually in a vacuum they're the best team in South America, so
Yeah,
I would
I
be
agree.
very surprised if they didn't win the whole thing again.
Okay.
Well, they didn't win last season, but
They won the playoff.
then any regional, the regional thing, yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to cover the other regions a bit too.
No, that's fine. Primal Beast update.
Not my favorite. I was very disappointed.
What about the hero? Have you played the new one?
He's cool. I know Synderen plays him all the time.
It's either Pugna or Primal Beast.
Yeah.
That's very oversimplified.
I know
I've
Synderen plays
I've
him all the
actually.
time.
So okay, so I'll just quickly talk about Primal Beast because the thing that's problematic with a hero like this, it came out, it was underpowered, or either that or people didn't know how to play it right. It had really bad win rate. It gets like 6 different buffs in one patch, and its win rate skyrockets by like 15% or something silly. It went from like 40 to 55, or maybe it's even close to 60 now.
Mm-hmm.
When you rebalance heroes like that quickly before people have really picked up on it, it's kind of the same that happened with Dawnbreaker. If you remember when her release, she was like 35%, gets like multiple buffs, but she went to 50 and was actually kind of in like, I almost want to say by chance, was kind of in a sweet spot where she wasn't broken but also wasn't like terrible. So she's kind of just stayed afloat as like a middle of the pack hero, which is fine. Primal Beast with all these buffs is just like, he's like a plague on pub games where a lot of the pro players or even the high skill players are just frustrated that the hero is in play, and half of the games is going to get banned, and the other games is going to be there. And if you don't pick it for your team and the enemy team picks it, a lot of the time they will stomp your lane and your teammates will get tilted. So that's annoying.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I actually think the hero is genuinely really funny. I think it's really fun to play. It's entertaining. I like the dynamic of what the hero does in the game, but it's very frowned upon to play it a lot because it's overpowered. So you have this like, you're in this dilemma of, all right, am I being annoying to the other players by picking overpowered hero? But if I don't pick it, the enemy team's going to take it, my teammates are going to tilt.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wish it got nerfed a bit and was still good and playable, but it wasn't like in this arguably broken state, right? Because I like the hero. I'll play it if I think it's fun.
You know?
But it's just an annoying dilemma, right? Because people dislike that it's in the game all the time.
Yeah, I think in the case where like you're kind of concerned that other players are going to be angry with you for spamming the hero, that's a little bit silly because it's in the game. You're not the one who put it there. Like if it's either you play it or you don't. It's like me with Spirit Breaker last patch. I was first picking it. I was like spamming it every time because when it didn't get banned, I had to make sure that I ban it by first picking it or I have it for myself, right?
But that's the problem with Primal. He is still in the state where he doesn't get banned if both teams
That
pick
is
it.
Oh, they never actually changed that.
That is still
supposed to be the first week.
It's still whoever clicks it first has it.
Oh,
And that's why, because
very nice.
I think otherwise Primal would be banned every game, more or less, because then both teams just pick it first.
Yeah,
Too.
I mean, they'll probably patch it soon. I hope they will. There's been a lot of complaints, but
If you nerf the hero, you can let it be in the state where it gets banned if both teams pick it. Because then I don't think it'll be picked every game. But right now it's just considered overpowered, so
probably
people just want even more, right?
yeah. But the difference between Primal Beasts and Dawnbreaker is any hero in Dota that has the ability to go from point A to point B. And I know Dawn has the ulti, but it's not the same as like a level 2 power spike on Primal Beast, where he can go from his tower to all the way to the enemy tower by charging, and then right, it's ridiculous to be able to gap close for free. Like you get a free gap close, and you also have a disable, and you have this nuke that is just too difficult to play against in early levels because no one else does that amount of damage. That's pretty ridiculous. So I think they need to. For me, like Primal Beast as a 4, for example, he's a better Earth Spirit on level 2. Like why should he have a better gap close spell than a hero who's meant to do it, right? And kind of. You can make the same argument for Tuskar, and this is me talking about Earth Spirit more than I should, but like Tuskar with his new Ags, which Earth Spirit had an Ags where he also displaced someone and kicked them back, but he does it for an item that's, I would argue, a little bit more stat efficient because you do right-click heroes with Tuskar, but he can do that all the time, and Valve thought it was okay. But Earth Spirit, his Ags, no, I had to be, no, you have to make the range so tiny.
They saw that JRX was back in the scene. They're like, yeah, we gotta make sure that this.
No, they nerfed that a long time ago. It's because displacement, and the same argument for Bat Raider. Bat Raider is constantly getting nerfed because the ability to just displace heroes is really broken, or the ability to gap close very quickly is very broken. Things like that, they don't care.
Do you think,
That makes me sad.
When it comes to Primal Beast, I'm sure you agree that the hero falls off, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that kind of design is good for the game? Because I'm like a little bit on the fence about whether I like a hero that's like insanely powerful in the beginning and then really falls off in the mid game. He gets his BKB, then he's strong for 10 minutes, and then usually whatever comes after is just weaker than almost any other hero you could imagine in that position with the scaling that he gets. Do you think that's good design to have someone really powerful into weak? Or would you rather have it be more streamlined where he's weaker in lane, but then he scales better? Because I think the trade-off, if you just hardcore nerf his laning now, the hero's not going to be interesting.
For me personally, I would prefer the option that you mentioned about him just scaling better and being weaker in lane and all of that. But I think for overall game design, outside of like the highest level of Dota, or people are playing competitively. I think that it is good design for a game to have characters that people want to play. Like Primal Beast, because he's so strong early game, it will bring in a lot of people who want to play the hero. They'll queue a Dota game just to play Primal Beast. And I think that is good game design. It's hard to find that balance because at the end of the day, Dota isn't catered to just us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's also catered to the casual fan, the
Couldn't
average
have said it-
person
Yeah,
who
I
wants to play.
completely agree.
So
A lot of these heroes are really complicated when they come out. Earth Spirit,
Yeah.
one of them. Oracle, very convoluted.
Willow,
Marcy,
I would say, is pretty complicated too.
Hmm?
I would say Willow was pretty complicated too.
Yeah,
for
I think so.
a new hero for players.
Yeah, it's good to get an easy to understand hero out every once in a while for sure.
yeah, to me, he kind of felt a little bit uninspired. But I think
That's okay though. I actually am okay with that. I agree though.
yeah, it didn't like it wasn't what I was expecting out of the new. Because if you look at the new heroes that Valve have released in the last few years, all of them have something interesting about them. But particularly like Pangolier stands out to me.
Oh yeah, that's
like
my
with
boy.
the introduction of vector targeting and really cool things like that, and just people like Willow with the concept of having two ultimates, like those designs were really cool. But then Primal Beast comes out and is just very cut.
Marcy's kind of on the same level.
And
Yeah,
Marcy too, yeah.
What do you think? Okay, just off the top of your head, out of the newest heroes, let's say the newest 5 to 10, what do you think is the best single design if you had to pick one?
Probably Pango.
Pango. Okay. What do you think? Shannon?
Yeah, of
Pango's
course. That's my favorite hero in the game. So
Yeah.
So
For my taste though,
is that from your personal taste or how good of a design you think it is in general for the game?
in general,
Considering
Both.
Yeah.
considering the thing you talked about with like simplicity of playing the hero, what it does.
I think
How unique
Pango's
it is.
relatively easy to play actually. And he's really fun. Even if you fuck up, it's fun. That's what makes him so cool.
Yeah,
It
Pango is definitely up there. I would mention. I think for me, I thought it was very refreshing to see Mars because it was like he felt like an old Dota.
That was
hero,
my
actually.
design, Syndron.
Was it?
Jeremy Kahn.
Oh.
I stole it.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Basically every
Do your
ability.
research, Syndron.
But yeah, I thought
noob.
I thought Mars was refreshing because he wasn't complex like the other heroes were. Like a lot of the heroes that came out at the time had like you said, like vector targeting or complex to understand or execute spells. Mars feels like a hero that could have been in Dota 15 years ago.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
He's like, stun, a
Mm.
knockback, a wall, and a passive frontal or a side blocker, right? So he was intuitively, I felt like picking up Mars and playing him for my first 3 games. I was like, I get this hero immediately. What I'm supposed to do. And it's obviously about perfecting it, but he was very easy to understand compared to a lot of other stuff. I think Dawnbreaker, as a comparison to that, is, I guess, a little more flawed in design compared to Mars from like the standpoint of like how the hero just. What's a good way of explaining this? How the hero sets itself up for success, right? Like Mars in a vacuum just feels like such a clean design for me. So I hope they learn from that. I know it's really, really difficult to come up with creative and new designs, right? Because there's only so much you can do. You've got like 120.
Heroes of
whatever
Newark
heroes.
is dying soon, officially. There's a lot of heroes you can take.
I'm curious to see, because I never played Han, and there's like people keep throwing around the same 5 to 10 hero names that were amazing there. The one that everyone always says is Puppet Master.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it did. So I'm curious if that makes it into the game. If
That'd be great.
there was apparently somebody saw a string of. There's been some data mining.
There is a
about
Dota
Puppet
hero
Master lines in
codenamed
the-
Puppet Master, but I think
Yeah.
it has Slax's ult where you control an enemy hero.
And what did it do in Han?
It's not like that at all.
It's just interesting that you mentioned that the hero design that you liked the most was Mars, because I feel like it definitely did feel like a Dota 1 hero. Like I could have played Mars in Warcraft 3 Dota, but for me, the heroes that I was drawn to were the ones with the more fun and interesting and complex design. I think Grimstroke and Willow are probably my 2 favorite releases. And when Primal Beast came out and I tried him in demo, I thought it was a lame hero. And I know that it's strong right now, but I'm not playing it in pubs just because I just don't think it's. I think the design for me, I would still rather play my hero pool
Right.
in Dota, right? So it's like another side of the coin where there are people who do like the newer, more complicated heroes.
Yeah.
More like it's just funner for me. I think Willow, excellent hero. Willow, Dark Willow.
Yep.
She's my personal pick for the best hero, but Pangolier is my objective best pick, just in terms of everything that it gave.
I think, funnily enough, I think my second most played pub hero is actually Earth Spirit, but I still really like Mars' design. So like, I like both sides of it. I just think I think the variance is probably what makes it good. I think the reason Mars stands out was that there were so many heroes with crazy or weird mechanics, and then it was kind of like a more classic in a way. I think if every hero release was on like Mars, we would be like, please give us a new hero like
Yeah, true.
crazy, right? So it's like a striking the right balance.
Last question. Oh, do you want to continue?
I was just gonna say that I think Mars was probably the best release of all the new heroes in competitive Dota. Like that hero's value from the beginning of him being in captain's mode till now, it's always gonna be first pick, first fan material.
Yeah, and they never redesigned any of his abilities or anything like that. It was pretty clean.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just the concept of an initiating offlaner with like a lower cooldown teamfight ulti that's always going to be valuable, no matter what.
That's
right?
true. That is true. Okay, last question before we do trivia. Okay, you are Ice Frog.
Okay.
Really?
And you can change one thing.
Don't get me in trouble.
The Ice Frog powers are bestowed upon you
I'm such a bad liar.
for one change.
I'm not Ice
And
Frog.
it can be as big of a change or as little as you want.
Okay.
You'll be like, in a blink of an eye, it's done. What do you do?
Any change in Dota?
Anything.
To be honest, I'm gonna have a very boring answer, but I would like to delete healing salves from the game.
He almost had an orgasm because he thought you were going to say neutrals.
No.
Neutral items.
I wasn't thinking about that at all.
Oh,
I was like, I hope she says I'm gonna ban people that grief.
Do neutral items?
Not that Ice Frog would really have that power, I
He
guess,
hates
but like
neutral
way stricter way stricter punishment system.
Okay, but okay, that's it. You
That's
said
what
it's a boring.
I thought you were maybe gonna pick something like that.
You said it's a boring. I've never heard anybody suggest that. Tell me why.
Because healing salves are ruining the game for me. Like it's just not fun. Like the laning is too easy now.
But tangos are fine.
Tangos are fine.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, tangos are fine, but just this meta where you just buy your carry healing salves forever. You TP mid and you salve your mid laner when he's in trouble. You TP mid, you refill the bottle. Like all this healing that everyone can do for free. It just takes away, I think, a lot of the skill-based aspect of laning that Dota used to have. It also makes it makes supporting really like one-dimensional at the moment. For me, I'm a support player. For those who don't know,
I think that's fair to say.
so I just think healing salves are. I thought about how we change healing salves, and yeah, adding 3 extra seconds that was good, but I just think there's still going to be a problem so long as
What
you
if you can't use it on anybody but yourself?
Then that's not really a great change either.
I mean, you could delete the item.
That's why you delete healing salves.
So
That's
something
actually kinda cool.
something that surprised me in that vein was that if you remember, we had the patch where the start of the game, the mid gets 2 tangos from the support, right?
Yeah.
And then they kind of removed that because they expire after a minute. What if? And then what came with that patch was that when you share a tango, there's no cooldown.
Yeah.
What if it had a cooldown of like 1 minute to share a tango? So instead of the duration is 1 minute when you give it to them, it's still that way, but you also can't share more than 1 tango a minute. Because what happens in the safe lane is that a lot of the time the 5 just keeps shoving food in your mouth as carry, right? Like, if you did that and you did the same with salve, maybe, so there's like an internal cooldown of being able to use it. I think, like, this was about your idea of doing the salve. I think it would probably be a really radical change, but I could definitely see like some sort of like maybe healthy medium between that would
Cooldown on salves actually sounds like something that could work. But also, I don't mind tangos that much because at the very least, like, you still have a window to capitalize on all the harass that you did on lane, and you can still go for the kill, right? But because a really big part of laning is like making these trades that are more favorable for you than it is for them, and to just have it be completely counteracted by 100 gold and a career that's available all the time, 110, but a career that's available all the time, it just feels like
you're essentially doing economical damage to the 5 rather than beating the carry.
Yeah,
right?
and with not just that, like with tangos, you can at least go for the kill because they're healing up gradually, so you can still capitalize on the times where they're low and they've got the tango regen up. You can still make those trades, and you can have tangos yourself, right? I don't hate them as much as I hate salves. Tangos are fine.
All right, now that you opened that bag of worms about neutral items, let's just really quickly get another opinion on it.
True.
Okay.
That the idea of deleting neutral items gives you sexual pleasure?
That is incorrect. That is incorrect.
I beg to differ, Cinderin.
But it does get me excited, but not sexually. All right, I'll give you.
Because I was like, interesting.
Okay,
I disagree with his assessment on that personally, but I'll let it go.
I will give you.
That's very Sin Giga.
All right, really quick. I'll give you 3 versions, and you take the one you like the most overall.
Okay.
Okay, current neutral items. Neutral items at 2/3 of current strength, all of them get nerfed,
Mm.
or they get entirely removed.
2/3.
2/3 is better than current.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, what's the reason for that? And which current ones do you think are overpowered the most or like out of place?
I don't want them removed. I think that they added a fun new layer to the game. I think that Dota should never be at a point where RNG decides the win. So I think they did well by removing some of the really absurd neutral items, like repair kit.
Mm-hmm.
That item was complete trash. It really wasn't fair that a game that you would have won, you lost because they had a repair kit defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're already trying to make sure that it's more of an even playing field with neutral items. But the worst one for me at the moment, probably the CDR items for heroes like
I think
Batrider
last we
and
talked about this, you said Philosopher's Stone. What changed?
Philosopher's. Oh, I was gonna get there,
Okay.
but I was
Alright.
talking about like the later stages of
Okay.
the game because I think CDR items are pretty broken because the difference, like having Black Hole come off cooldown 10 seconds, can be the difference between a win and a loss, and I just don't think things like that should exist. I think CDR should be something that you have to buy.
Okay.
So I don't like the concept of CDR. I don't mind Spell Amp because it feels like Spell Amp is a commonplace thing that you can get for relatively cheap. You can, well, they did change nulls, didn't
Yeah,
they?
you can't buy nulls
They
anymore.
did change
So it's
nulls.
Kaya or E-Blade, I suppose, if you want to
Yeah.
look at it that way. Which is also Kaya. So
I think you can just downscale Spell Amp and it's less annoying for sure. So the 2/3 works for that. Most of the neutral items, in my opinion, that really sucked got taken out. I thought it was completely unfair when things like that, what was that called? The quell thingy?
Iron Talon?
Iron Talon, that item. That item was trash. If you beat the enemy carry and then they got an Iron Talon dropped and your carry didn't, they would just have a way back into the game that they probably shouldn't have. So I think Dota did well in removing most of the
They've
test
definitely
failures.
improved it a lot. That's for
But
sure.
for me, Philosopher's Stone on the 5. To be fair, it does drop often, I guess, for both teams, but a Philosopher's Stone is a huge difference because your support getting a Glimmer Cape earlier than the enemy support because they have a Philosopher's Stone, or on heroes like Disruptor getting that early Aghanim Scepter, like this is significantly earlier than they would. With a Philosopher's Stone, you can get your Aghanim Scepter 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, it makes such a big difference, and it's not really fair. And I say this for supports because that's usually who it goes to, right? Sometimes your Tinker, your techies will hoard it, your core techies. And I'm actually very okay with that because they're getting gold anyway. Like, the gold that it gives a Tinker.
The relative difference to the GPM.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal, but for position 5s in particular, when you have 2 5s who can have game-changing ads and one gets it earlier than the other because of Philosopher's Stone, that makes me really angry. So I think they should remove GPM. Anything that adds to your GPM, that's really dumb. Your GPM should be something that you collect on your own in-game.
I actually don't disagree with any of that. And the health salve idea was very cool. Wouldn't mind that either.
It would also be funner for me.
Shannon, I think for the record, I think you're overstating at this point how much I hate neutral items.
That's what makes it fun, Cinder.
Okay. Well,
not that you know anything about fun. But,
I will say that I'm slowly but steadily coming more to terms with them. And I think part of it is also what Ephey's saying, like, because of the rebalancing of a lot of the ones that were like egregious oversights, it's starting to get to a point now where the RNG matters less, but there's still outliers and there still feels like there's games where it's unfair what ends up happening. So again, I think by toning down their strength, I agree. I think they should be weaker, would be one step, making them weaker and removing the last 2 or 3. There's not many left. Like Philosopher's Stone is probably one of them that is, it feels great to get it, but the reason it feels so great to get it is that probably like in the back of your mind, you're like, this is a little bit unfair, right?
It shouldn't be in the game.
It's just a bit too much.
It shouldn't be in the game.
I believe that was also the one neutral item we talked with Fly about that he wanted out. It was also Philosopher's Stone. That was the one he highlighted. That was a single item he mentioned.
Oh, did he mention that as well?
He thought it was the worst neutral item in the game, like design-wise. He wanted it out because of power. So
it really does make a difference because in Dota 2, like a game can be won or lost in the span of a minute, right? And for you to have the extra boost from certain items, or like I bring up CDR by the way because I do think CDR is a huge problem on heroes like Enigma or Tidehunter or Batrider, you know? I feel like these things that give you a severe advantage in the game should be something that you purchase for yourself. Like, where else do you create GPM in Dota? From Midas, right? You have to buy your Midas to create your GPM. You shouldn't be able to do it for free.
What about that creep?
Yeah, that creep sucks though.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so
the
insignificant.
like people were like, "Whoa, this is crazy!" And then I remember watching streams of like pros like dominating the creep and running around
Yeah.
with it, and
So
they're like, "Wait,
insignificant.
this is so underwhelming."
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, no, that creep sucks.
All right, let's finish off with some trivia between you and Cinder, and you got some questions that need to be answered.
Excellent.
Cinder, and we'll start with you. And Ephey, you didn't give me any multiple choice. You're gonna have to come up with them live here.
Oh, should I? I can give you.
It's meant to be for multiple choice generally.
No.
Okay, wait.
No, it doesn't have to be four. No. You
Doesn't
can
have
say
to.
it. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Should
So
I give them?
you can
multiple?
just Well, let me ask the question, then you can give it. Cinderin, what is Effie's favorite band?
Uh,
Oh, now you give them
I don't
multiple
need
choice.
options. I think
Oh, really?
it's Tool.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. I gave
Wow.
you. I gave you an easy. Well, I gave you two easy ones, so you
Okay.
actually don't need multiple choice, because I've been talking to you about that concert in Denmark for 2 months now.
Wow.
Just going to a
Okay.
concert with Tool.
That's
Yes.
cool.
That's Tool.
I thought it was because you were friends with a bunch of tools or something. Okay. Cool.
No, that's you, Shannon.
That's true, Cinderin.
I'm very.
I'll
Burn.
set that up.
Just really quick side note. I'm
Mhm.
very excited. Very. It's probably the highlight of my year.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I never thought in my life. Wait, sorry to hijack. I never thought in my life that I would be in a position where I could see my favorite band live, because the favorite bands, they don't tour in Jordan. Very few musical acts tour in Jordan outside of local ones or maybe other Arab ones, and it's not something that's easy to afford to travel abroad for a concert. So here I am, because of Dota 2. I can watch
That's
Tool.
very cool.
I can watch Tool live. It's very,
Very
cool
cool.
for me. Yes. Okay.
All right. Effie,
Yes.
going from a cool question to Cinderin's very boring one. How many hours does Cinderin roughly have logged in Dota 2? 18K, 21K, 25K, 30K.
On all of your accounts?
I only have one account.
Like even in the past?
He's a good boy.
I only have one account.
Okay. Sorry if that sounded like a loaded
He's a
question.
good boy.
I have always only played on my main.
Okay. Repeat the multiple choice.
18, 21,
Mhm.
25, 30.
25?
That is correct.
Nice.
Almost there. I think I'm 80 hours off.
Excellent.
Very
I need to stay logged in.
Yes. 30 seems a little bit too much.
Some people have that.
Cinderin, what is Effie's favorite hero? I think I know this one too.
That was a bad question, wasn't it?
That's
Well, I mean, it should be Earth Spirit.
Yeah, that's what I would say
So,
too. Is that correct?
It is our spirit.
Okay.
I gave a lame one.
Like the mobility, what is it about the hero?
Actually, you want to know? I like the hero design, like just what it looks like and what he sounds like, and it's very soothing for me to play Earth Spirit.
ASMR?
A little bit, but it's just like a relaxing hero. I don't know. I just like his animations too.
I think you're one of. When you ask the average Dota player what's a relaxing hero, I don't think Earth Spirit is at anyone's
Have you-
list very much.
Have you heard him speak?
Yeah. Oh, that's very true. But like
Cinder loves the
the
voice
gameplay
lines.
is pretty stressful to a lot of players, I think, because there's a lot of like very erratic mobility and quick spellcasting.
Ah, okay.
It's
No, that
probably
makes him
stressful.
fun. But I
Yeah.
mean, the hero design, like
Right.
like when I learned the hero, is because like the hero's voice lines are very calming. Like
That's true.
They make me
That's
feel
very
very
true.
peaceful. So I really enjoyed listening to him talk.
Effie, how many continents has Cinderin visited?
Ooh.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Well, you've been to America, certainly. You've been to Europe, certainly. You've been to Asia, certainly. Have you been elsewhere?
I don't know the answer to this, so.
I think you would have been to South America. 4?
I'm gonna say 3.
It is 3, and it was the first 3 you said.
So you haven't
you're
been
right.
to South America. I thought maybe it's somewhere you would have gone for vacation or something.
I've been to the US many times for different Dota events, and in China, I've been to China twice,
Mhm.
and I think that's it as far as Asia
Philippines?
goes. Philippines once. Yeah, the Philippines for the Manila Major.
Never Antarctica. That's shocking.
I really would love to
very
go to
young.
Singapore. I hope I get to go at some point. That's
Yeah,
probably
it's
that's a place I really would like to
All right,
visit.
last one for each of you. Cinderin, Effie's favorite movie.
Ooh.
Which Cinderin's gonna get this one wrong. Give him a multiple
I
choice.
should do multiple choice. I'm gonna say all my favorite movies
Okay,
because then some are gonna seem too out of place. Okay, I've got The Dark Knight,
okay.
American Beauty,
Great one.
The Departed,
Mhm.
and Shawshank Redemption.
All right, American Beauty.
Yeah.
Great movie.
How did you know?
I'm not sure if I've heard this before, but you might have told me, and it stood out to me because it's also Susie's favorite movie.
Oh,
Well,
that might have been
was.
me actually.
Maybe.
It's my top 5. It's in my top 5.
Okay, because
Great movie.
I haven't.
I'm sad about Kevin Spacey, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that-
the same for her. That's like a dilemma, but because she really loved the movie, but he's in it, so
Yeah.
she doesn't really enjoy it like she used to.
That movie's soundtrack, really excellent. Really, really good movie.
I watched that movie, Shannon, because it was her favorite
Congratulations.
movie. That's a movie I've watched.
Yeah.
There you go. It was a very good movie.
glad to hear it. All right, Ephey. We're gonna end with the usual question that every guest gets wrong. What is Synderen's dog's name?
Shannon.
All right.
That is
That is
close to correct.
Correct. Yes.
Well done.
All right. Do
Well
you have
done.
an actual guess?
Oh, am I? Is there no multiple choice here?
You can.
All right. So it's the Danish word for. Okay,
It's
I'll give you the English words that would be the translation. Okay.
Okay.
Is it carrot, tomato, onion, or cucumber?
Carrot seems too commonplace, because lots of dogs are ginger. That would be very uninspired, Synderen. Tomato seems a little bit weird to name a dog after tomato.
Say, I was actually sure you would know this because you
Onion.
flaunt yourself as like a big fan of my stream, and my dog makes an appearance quite often.
Onion, cucumber. I'm a Synderen fan.
Mm.
That doesn't mean.
But not the dog fan. That's
doesn't
fair.
mean-
That's fair.
Synderen, being
That's-
a fan of yours doesn't mean that I know every detail of your life.
That's very fair.
Okay.
That is very true
Do
and
not-
very
do
important
not-
to remember in general.
Do
when
not
you're fans
gatekeep my fandom.
of-
Anyway, onion and the cucumber. I'm gonna guess onion.
That's
Oh
correct.
my goodness!
My dog's name is Lloyd, which is the Danish word for
See, I am
cucumber.
a
There you go.
Synderen fan.
Yeah.
Good job.
She knew it the whole time.
Just for that, Ephey wins the trivia. Well done.
By being 2 out of 3, and I'm 3 out of 3.
That's right. She
Okay,
wins big
good
time.
job.
Wait,
yeah, you
what did I
won.
lose?
Huh? You
The
said 4
continents.
consonants.
But I would have assumed that you've gone to South America because everyone who's gone to North America
I
regularly
just haven't
makes a trip down
haven't
there. No?
haven't been.
Right.
I've never been either, actually.
I would like to.
Yeah.
That would be a cool place for a TI. We were talking about that.
Mhm.
I think that would be very fun, and
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
Right.
I think the food tourism would be impeccable.
Really, really quick. Final question. Rapid fire. 3 places you really want to go that you haven't been.
Ooh, South Korea, India, Japan.
Okay.
So 3 Asian ones.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast.
That was great.
2 hours, by
I'm
the
really
way.
uninteresting.
You didn't think we'd
we
get
will
to that
not
point.
be able to talk very much about this.
Yeah.
But did we
There you
talk about anything of substance?
No,
Yeah?
of course not. That's the podcast in a nutshell.
Do you know the jingle of the podcast? What is it?
We say things
Oh.
that don't mean
There you
anything.
go.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, Ephey.
Thanks for
Well done. You did
listening.
great. Good
you.
job.
Great
Oh,
job.
now I play the intro. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. That's
You
the
can
outro,
follow
Shannon.
Ephey at Ephey Dota. See ya.
Okay, bye.
We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. There's still an intro going. Yeah.